Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL Team Time Trial Week. We are into week number 7, and right from the get-go, we do have a new feature we're going to be trying to go live with a little bit earlier, probably than this, but wanted to throw this out to you. I know a lot of you sit in the pens, and especially during the team time trial, somebody wondering what exactly should we be running for tech equipment. We've got the whiteboard master with us, Anna Russell, that's going to be helping you out before each one of the broadcasts as you jump on in with us. So let's go ahead and see what Anna has to say about bike choice as for the Richmond course today.
Hello and welcome to your In the Pens whiteboard session. I'm Anna Russell, the whiteboard queen, from Nathan, not from me. But here we go. We've got Richmond UCI reverse, 2 laps today in the TTT. And I know you're probably sitting in there feeling pretty nervous about how to approach these climbs and maybe even your bike choice. I'm going to go through the bike choice today. So, got to say, Tron is probably a good option for this one, just because you're hitting those 3 climbs back to back in the first parts of this race. Then you've got a lot of flat, but if you're not a climber, are you a bit nervous about them, you might want to go for that more lightweight setup of the Tron. Now, if you're okay with the climbs, I'm probably going to go personally for the Specialized Venge S-Works with their DT Swiss disc. Just because I kind of like the climbs, they're a bit punchy. You can get up out of the saddle, push through the weight of the disc, and then you're going to be feeling really good on the rest of the flat parts of the course because that disc wheel just hums along so nicely, and you're going to kind of get a good aero advantage there. Now, some may say maybe a climbing setup on this course. I'm not sure about that. You're going to really, really struggle on the flats. I mean, you're definitely not going to go a Specialized Atheos. You're definitely not going to go some Millensteins. You're not sitting in there for a 20-minute climb. These climbs are short, less than 2 minutes. I would definitely be going that disc. Now, I know not all of you have the disc at the moment. If you don't have the Tron either, then I'd be looking at something like the Zip 808s with maybe the Canyon Aero Road 2021 would be my choice. Now, have a great race out there. We're just kind of experimenting with these pre-race in the pens sort of chit-chats about whiteboards. Today, we've obviously talked a little bit about bike choice. Maybe next week we'll go through to some sports psychology, how to get the most out of yourself. Maybe we could have a look at a bit more of a course kind of recon. You've got the great recons out there, but we'll have a look at that. But yep, there we go. This is it. In the pens with the whiteboard session, bike choice, Tron or disc. Good luck out there, guys. Have a great race.
Big thanks to Anna for putting that together for us. You heard it here. It's going to be, if you are confident in your climbing, the Slippery Venge S-Works, Dave, with some DT Swiss wheels, or at least the disc. If you're not so confident you're climbing, maybe the Tron bike, because it is still a slippery bike. It still is pretty aero, but definitely going to help you a little bit get up and over the top of the climbs. I have a feeling that we're going to see some Trons maybe in the C and D category, and then maybe perhaps in the Bs and the As, going more towards that Venge S-Works with some disc wheels. But Anna always on top of it when it comes to the tech. That's for sure, Dave.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, all right. Well, very challenging course. As tough as they get, to tell you the truth. 32 kilometers of racing out here today in Richmond. This is the UCI course, UCI reverse, actually. I don't think it's really much tougher one way or the other. At the end of the day, it's a lot of meters of climbing, and it's very sharp climbing that you have out here, which is far from ideal for a team time trial setup. I saw a lot of teams starting, I was looking at the Europe, Middle East, and Africa Middle East division, and I saw a lot of teams starting with not the maximum number of riders. So it's the kind of day that you don't carry any extra baggage.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many are showing up on the day out here today. Team time trial, 8 riders, definitely going to help out, though. That's always that extra time. Maybe some people just thinking, oh no, there's a lot of climbing out there. What do you think, Dave? Yeah, give me an idea.
The thing about 8 riders is, if they can all make it over the climb.
Good call.
But they can't. And so, right, the reality is no one has 8 riders that are going to make it over Libby multiple times. Well, maybe they do, but they're not going to be winning with 8 riders today, is my estimation.
we are jumping in with Middle East Division 1. We've got one of our teams that really put out an upset in the last couple of months, or at least one of the best dynamic moves we've ever seen in Zwift racing. BL13 are out there today. We also have what looks to be FZR out there with the Finnish team, Gen X, and a few others. I mean, this is a pretty stacked field. Also, BL13 showing up to the chase race a couple weeks back and doing something similar again. They just keep on making history because they had the A's win with a very small field, but they showed us that if a team shows up, they get organized. The chase race can also really be an upset too. We'll see if they can do something special out here in the TTT though.
Yeah, and you can see that they're starting with 4 riders here. So 8 is the maximum. Your time is taken off of the 4th. I mean, the 2 teams that you mentioned off of the top are both starting with 4 today. So there is no reason to start riders that won't be able to make it over.
My bad. 6 max riders of 6. Thursday is 8. That's my apologies on that, everybody. With the TTT on Thursday, I do get them mixed up. Martin's yelling at me right now. Actually, Nathan, as you're getting your information incorrect.
It's a little
148 TTTs, right? So get a little bit of slack because that tends to be what's in the back of my head, right, Dave? We got the 148 that we've done before.
And when you're doing both the premier broadcast and the community broadcast, there's decidedly different rules and setups and just the way the races engage and take place. It's challenging. And then obviously WTRL, the legendary Thursday team time trials, they have their own. And that's where, yeah, I'm with you. I just immediately, when you said 8, I was like, oh yeah, 8. It's 5 riders in Premier, 6 in Community, and 8 in WTRL. That's the maximum number that you can start with. So let's get back to what we've got here today. This is ZRL, race number 7 for the Community. The Premier has wrapped up, but we continue on with one more team time trial here today in Richmond on the Reverse Worlds course, and then one final road race before we go into playoffs. So now, at hand here is an extremely challenging course. And as I said, you only want to bring the riders that are going to be able to be useful to you. You can't be waiting around in a team time trial. That's really the exact thing that you're trying to avoid, is just keep everybody either in the rotation or at least sitting on. But the second that you move into the phase of sitting up as a group and waiting for riders, you move into a whole new dimension of the race. You're no longer pressing forward. You're now starting to look in your rearview mirror, and that's never a good sign. Never in a team time trial,
especially on this course, Dave. It's a really good point, right? With the sharp kicks that are going to be coming at these riders continually.
You can't have guys hesitating and waiting.
Having parity, as you would say, that we're using that word of like across the climbers, is going to be so important on this course, I would think, so that you're not sitting up like you're saying.
And for that reason, Nathan, I mean, obviously you can start with 6, but and this will be the last time I make this point, you might as well start, if you've got 4 guys that can do this, get in a rhythm and just work it as the chain gang of 4 riders, and hopefully everyone can do close to 25% of the work in that group. Obviously, I mean, it's interesting if you were to look at the numbers, Nathan, if you really want to break it down, some rider will be sitting on the front 38% of the time, a couple of guys in that 25% of the time, and then maybe one rider does a little bit less work. And that's when you know you're really getting the formula right at that point, is everybody's giving the maximum that they can without becoming an anchor. You definitely want to just keep pressing and pressing and pressing. 32K, Nathan, it's going to be a long day because this 32K is brutal out here. So not a short team time trial by any stretch of the imagination.
And let's go ahead and jump right down into the action. When it comes to, we don't need to stretch our imagination any longer, as we do have Johnson here from Skylab hammering away, it looks like, and it does look like they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders stood with them. 2 UCI pros actually hanging out, as you can see these jerseys up toward the front. And they're starting that slog of a climb on the opposite side of Governor's Street climb here, as 6 watts per kilogram at 181 beats per minute right now. They are 7K in to their TTT. We will get the first check markers here at the 8K, 16K, and 24K marks. It looks like at a shorter course out here, 2 laps. Dave, I think, throwing everything down up front over the top of these climbs and maybe letting riders go if you need to could also be a little bit of a tactic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. This team right here is going to be far from the norm, as they have a lot of depth. This is the squad that's got Fedya Diasov. He's a huge talent, the locomotive out of Russia. Christopher Ashton is also on this team, and of course, the legend himself, Caleb Carl. So this is a team that has really an embarrassment of riches. Ollie Peckover. These are some of the big names that you see in esports here, and Clayton is going to be Matt Clayton there, the other rider. So yeah, I have a feeling for them, they're not going out too hard. They're going to try to set a reasonable pace. This is the season at total. Skylab has been the dominant force out here. 117 total points. That's a lot of firsts and seconds, Nathan. Kirkmeyer, but I saw Stefan Kirkmeyer is not starting today. I'm guessing that's because of World Championships coming up on the 26th. So we're going to see a little bit of that today out here. Maybe actually that might be one case in point that's noteworthy as we get a look at Harry Johnson moving up to the front on that pink Tron bike.
Speaking of pink Tron bikes here, and that was part of the suggestions at the start from Anna Russell. We've got some chatter.
I would go Tron bike all day.
Yeah, well, John McEwen thinks on like purple Tron. He thinks that purple Tron's the way to go as well.
John, I might have to borrow that, my friend. That's pretty good stuff.
That is pretty good stuff right there. I'm liking that. Go ahead and bring your comments on in. We do see you hanging out. Oh no, Strive Racer. Is this going to be? This is not confirmed. I'm hearing rumors.
You're
I'm just
freaking
say
me out.
it's rumors that Kirchmer may be injured.
Oh no.
I'm just going to leave it at that. I hope that is not true. As it is
well,
just
unverified.
in Twitch chat, I'm not going to confirm or deny anything like that, but that would be because it's a pretty big deal if representing Germany,
Austria,
going into the World Championships this week would be really, really unfortunate here. And if that is what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and send out get well soon and sorry for that, 100%.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Nathan. I know that you're not the source of that. It's not unconfirmed, but it certainly would make sense with him not taking the start here today. And yeah, Stefan, thoughts are with you if that's the case. Either way, big fan for sure. A lot of fans of this man. So they are allowing power-ups out here today. That's interesting to see, is that draft power-up there, 30 seconds, increasing your draft effect by 50%.
Yeah, power-ups are out here in the TTTs now for the ZRL, so will be power-ups all day long. Have seen some people liking it, some people not. It is a part of the rules out here today, and you got to use them correctly for your timing out there.
Sounds like just about anything that you do in this world these days, some people will like, some people will not like. So...
Now we do have some questions coming on through about what is the best bike to use. I'll play the whiteboard queen one more time during the maybe one or two more times during the broadcast, but make sure to show up at the start of the broadcast. We will have an in the pens from Anna Russell herself for the best setups. The suggestions that she did bring through were going to be, if you are confident in your climbing, go ahead and use the fastest setup that is out there. I'm going to see if one of these riders actually is using it. This is going to be it right here. It's going to be that Venge S-Works with the DT Swiss. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to hear Anna during that, so I don't know exactly what she was talking about. But my thought, really, here's an interesting concept anyways. If you're already one of the best climbers on your team, Nathan, why would you enhance that? Because that's the moment where you're already starting to drop your teammates. I would think enhancing your aerodynamics so you could be a little bit faster on the flats would be the best bike for you to use, if that's the case, if you're already the best climber on your team.
Exactly, and that's pretty much echoing what Anna was saying. Is that if you've
Okay, good,
already got the
good,
climbing legs, use this S Works Venge because it's
perfect.
gonna be the slipperiest bike. Now, if you're not quite as confident, it's gonna be the Tron. She said, aim for that
Aha!
Tron.
Right.
But
Yep.
Burnett, because he may not have the Tron, this is exactly what she had said. This team actually has every setup she suggested, which is really fun to see that because this is going to be your kind of cheaper all-arounder, where you don't have to climb 50,000 meters to get the bike if you don't have your Tron
So,
or
yeah,
don't have enough
yeah.
drops for some of the pickups.
I think it's really worth explaining sometimes, Nathan. We're so deep into it. Obviously, you're a million miles deeper than I am. But for folks that are wondering, when you sign up with Zwift, you start with 0 drops. And basically, those drops are sweat drops. And that's the currency that you earn. As you make your way up levels, there's all kinds of things. Some of them are fashion-based, which Anna is also an expert in. Things like helmets and gloves and shoes and glasses and etc., the peripheral stuff. And then some of it is really speed based and critical for esport racers. Things like wheels and frame sets and more aerodynamic or better for gravel. And it starts to get pretty expensive. By the time you're, a Tron bike is the one thing that's based on your performance. You have to climb 50,000 meters to unlock that in-game tool, and it's part of really a rite of passage for Zwift riders, right, Simon?
Yeah, and he has not crossed Simon Schofield, not crossing that passage. His ears are ringing somewhere in the world right now. But and also, do not forget, and the reason why Simon, and that's great you brought that up.
Start
actually,
the clock,
because he didn't start the challenge. So you don't just
right.
climb 50,000 meters, everyone. You have to go into the challenges in Zwift and select the challenge that you want, because there's other ones too that you can unlock besides the Tron bike. So make sure that you start
kind of like the
Everesting challenge.
like the route badges, that kind of thing, like it's all part of
with the route badges, you can just go
that
do the route and you'll do it, right?
Right.
You don't have to, you go and select the route if you want to do it, but you don't have to select the route. If you happen to do the route, you'll still get it, right? So
this is like opting in with your credit card for the 5% discount on gas or something. If you don't go on the website and check the box, you never get the discount.
And get the email. You have to get the emails.
Yeah. You have to follow along. So, hey, Nathan, Skylab is truly a legacy team at this point. They've got one of the best names out there. And right now, I'm glad that we're able to follow them. This is Marcus Burnett that we're in with. This team looks extremely good. We're getting our checks coming in 8K, 16, and 24K today out here on these 2 laps of Richmond UCI reverse. And let's see, Kirkmeyer in with a 10:32. Skylab, so they're 13 seconds back there. There's 2 Skylab teams out racing today, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be Jolly Boys. They're going to be down in that 8th spot there. A little bit different when it comes to the team time trial as well in the Zwift Racing League, because these teams go out in order of their current standings. So the assumed probably fastest team will go out first. Now, the thing that we're seeing here from Kirkmeyer, though, is that even though they're sitting in second place overall, they may be the better time trialers. And that's kind of cool to see up front here how things are playing out between the teams. Looking at this at a 26-second gap only at this point, they've brought back some solid time. Kirkmeyer here, 10:32 is yours. Dave, this is a really cool ride to see here from Kirkmeyer, and seeing them challenge the top dogs in this division in the Middle East right now.
They'll make things really close, actually. If Skylab holds on I'm projecting quite a bit forward here, but if Kirkmeyer goes on to win today and Skylab ends up 3rd or 4th, we've almost got a tie league heading into the final points race here for ZRL, WTRL community. So I would imagine Stefan must be directing the team if he's not racing here today. And they look very, very motivated. This Germanic combine, Swiss, German, and now a Dutch rider out here, Visic, is joining into the mix here for Kirkmeyer. It's the first time I've seen a non-Austrian, Swiss, or German rider. That's Wagner that we're looking at on the back. They're very well organized, extremely good in this discipline of team time trialing. Kirkmeyer, man for man, woman for woman, Nathan, might be the most experienced team we've got racing at this high level. This is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Middle East Division 1.
Great comment coming on through here from Aline Lisbeth. Bodgard Hansen letting us know that if she found out 1 year after starting Zwifting about the Tron bike. So everybody, this is about signing up for the Tron bike. So she pulled the Schofield is what we're going to call that from now on, I think. And hopefully, Malene, do you have your Tron bike at this point? Have you climbed your 50,000 with the challenge, or are we still working on it after your 1 year out? We really appreciate that. Comment coming on through, and let us know that you can relate. Who can relate in chat? That's what I want to know about the challenges, and not knowing that, I needed to select this challenge. Because I hear this story a lot, and I think up front in Zwift, early on, there was like a prompt. I think there was a prompt very early on about the challenges, or it was a little bit more obvious where they were on the login UI. And for some reason, it was just like, this is a thing. And I jumped right on into the challenges. So that was a little bit more obvious to me. It felt like way back in the day, going into some old school, nostalgia of Zwift. But I want to know in chat who didn't select their Tron challenge and ended up thinking that they were going to get a Tron bike and didn't get a Tron bike, or at least were working
that's the
toward
heartbreaker.
it. Right?
When you're like, all right, I hit it. There's my 50,000 meters. And then nothing happens. You're like,
think about the amount of time, too,
hello.
Dave.
Right.
Oh,
no.
Man. Where's
so
my
I
Tron?
didn't realize. It took me quite a while before I activated it, but I only used to ride when I started pretty much strictly on Tempest Fugit. So I didn't really miss out on that many meters of climbing, to tell you the truth.
Do you have your Tron bike, Dave?
No, I'm 68% of the way there.
68%. Well, and you're logging in on only Watopia Mountain, right? I mean, it's only climbing courses is what you're doing. No,
I definitely changed my mindset for sure. Once you start going for the Tron, you realize, like, if I want to get this done, I've got to at least go out on the hilly routes to just start logging some meters of climbing, right? This would not be a good way to do it, to tell you the truth, trying to get your meters in Richmond. It's too severe. You can't really find a rhythm. It's like climbing the short, steep climbs that you see in Belgium for the classics out here. And that was really what they replicated. Libby Hill is cobble, and it's got that real throwback feel to, in our case, you're going back to a couple hundred years old versus thousands of years old with the Napoleon-laid cobblestones over there in Europe, or I guess more than just Napoleon. This is going to be ZZP BL13. So they do have BL13, one of the strongest teams in the community, no doubt. And they have some of those standout moments, as you were talking about earlier in the broadcast, where they've organized a real coup d'etat out here in some races.
Yeah, well, what I really like about BL13, they may not be watt for watt the strongest team, but they show up with enough firepower, but then tactic on top of it to really throw a wrench into the plans of other teams, or put a surprise out there, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where did this come from? BL13 is really upsetting the apple cart, and so I think they're doing a good job of that week in and week out. It's great to see them out here. Daz Carter, one of the early streamers, I would say, showing his racer perspective here out leading this team out right now. It looks like 6 watt per kilogram, steady here coming from BL13. Let's take a look quick at the current situation when it comes to the times, and they're sitting at 11:06, 2 seconds back from Cryogen Col de la Los. Skylab 10:45 again. Kirchmer still walking away with this one. Skylab Jolly Boys, that's going to be their B team out here today. 11:22. NZ Bro Borimer 11:23. 1 second back. The Finland Zwift Racers with FZR 11:25. Generation X Oysters 9. That's the situation. I wonder if we have some
Oysters.
non-starters out there as well, though, with Wes and Watt Freiberg. I'll try and get some information on that. We got a lot of responses here, Dave, about the Tron bike, actually, because this is going to be an emotional moment, I think, in people's lives, and they'll have a memory about this, right?
Oh, I don't know that there's too many things in life that you would have worked harder physically to earn than your Tron bike. So you're right. I mean, that disappointment of not registering, I'm glad that we brought that up today. Hopefully we'll save someone the heartbreak. Nathan, oh, boy. See, Dan,
61K meters coming from Dan. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Dan is nice to see joining us out there, a legend in our American cycling community.
Even Teppy. He made up for it, though. And then he went and made up for it, right? I mean,
and then he did it on a trial account in a week. So that's Teppy Lorio, or it's a different Teppy?
That was Teppy Lorio.
All right.
That was Teppy, yeah. And Paul as well did something like 20,000 meters. There's a good question coming on through. Why isn't it default? Well, I mean,
they want to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, you gotta do some searching. You gotta use the UI. But
you got to explore the platform a little bit. Poke around.
Paul's saying he did the other 2 challenges first. And a few.
I did not know that.
A few people had a few friends tell them not to mess this one up. So I'm glad you had some friends holding things down for you there, Ryan Cole. I'm seeing you over in chat.
I'm sure, Nathan, you've done it for many folks, but you really do need a mentor, especially when you get into esports. I know plenty of riders that have leaned heavily on a friend for advice on how do I do this, and especially with dual recording and all of that, where having someone who's done it already to walk you through is a huge help. And that's part of the community out here, without any doubt.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like any game at this point, really, like just jumping in, especially to online competitive world, you really do need you don't need, but you want to find a community to jump in with and learn from individuals.
That's where those YouTube videos really help, don't they? It's because of COVID and everything. Maybe folks don't have access to someone readily, and at least those YouTube videos kind of get your foot in the door. You're right, Nathan. I couldn't even imagine with the games that you play, where do you start as someone who's never done that before?
Usually, I'm not kidding. Like usually,
I believe it.
You go to if there's a video game that you're getting into, you go to Twitch and you watch somebody play the game like live, and you go, "Oh, that's how they do that," and they talk about it. You watch them rage, get mad. You watch them succeed. What worked, what didn't work.
Quit some of them. They never see again.
I think I had some kids watch me play Apex last night, and they came in like they were in my squad. There were some randoms in my squad. They came into my Twitch channel because it's in my name, my Apex name, and they were like, "Can you help us?" Because I carried them to a win. They're like asking for tips. The same thing.
Hey,
so find somebody who's streaming Zwift and go ask them for tips or hang out and chat here. We'll let you know what we can. But having a racer perspective is different than us talking about what's happening in front of you too.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, there's the obvious things that you pick up on right away about how you need to have your fans set up and your hydration and all of that. But just the nuances of learning how to team time trial, that's another quantum leap beyond just learning how esports work. And these folks,
what's going on, that would be one of the most frustrating experiences.
I can't even imagine.
Without a DS and the whole, oh my goodness, like the first time through. And we've seen some champs, though, come in and really knocked it out of the park for their first time through. So big, shout out to anybody who had a really solid first team time trial. But
no kidding.
I have a feeling usually it's like mayhem, I would think.
I agree. It takes. I mean, I always look at junior racers with this, but it actually holds true for anybody who's never raced a bike before, and esports included. It takes a lot of courage to jump in and do this. So it really is a threshold that you cross over, right, Nathan? I mean, it's been a long time for you, but for folks that once you pin on that number or that virtual number and get out there and race, it's amazing how it transforms you, who you are. Nathan, I have so many fond memories of this spot right here. Every day when I announced the World Championships, the hotel was about 5 kilometers away from this spot, Libby Hill, where I announced. And I would walk over and walk home. And that community and people inviting you in for a lemonade or an iced tea was very popular in Richmond. It was such an amazing time to bring the whole world together here. And Libby Hill was the spot to be. They went up it during the race instead of down it here on these cobblestones. This is right now more than halfway into
Weren't
their
you
race.
hanging out right here? Isn't that where you were hanging out, Dave?
At the top, yeah, at the top of the hill where they make that hard, well, if they're going uphill where they make that hard left-hand turn, that's right where the announcer area was.
Pretty awesome.
A lot of good memories. Yeah. So Kirkmeyer is on fire today, a 2030. So Nathan, I'm not sure how long it's been since we've started the fastest teams first out here. So is that something that we're doing across the board with team time trials now? Because I think it's a great idea. I heavily support it. Rather than the reverse, which is obviously seeding the fastest teams to go last, which is how it's conventionally done in real life. But there's many good reasons why you want to do it the opposite way out here.
Yeah, I think Thursday's stays reverse for the Platinum League, but we do have here in ZRL is definitely where things are at when it comes to having the fastest teams, or at least the top-ranked teams, head out first. We are looking at Matthew Wales from Crowdgen, Cole de Lowe's. How are the times coming through here? It looks like Crowdgen might be stepping it up a little bit, and let's see how is this playing out. It looks like Skylab being distanced though still by Kirchmeier. So Kirchmeier here with that 16K marker, 2030. Tied up though, BL13 and Cryogen now. Looks like BL13 have actually closed down, 2 seconds here. And now we have a battle for third today.
Yeah, wow. Actually, even on a course this hard, we've got a battle for second, to be honest. I hate to just give it to Kirkmeyer, and you actually can't because there's a lot of things that could happen out here. But right now, yeah, look how close it is there with Cryogen, De La Luz, and BL13 Bullets deadlocked at 21:18 as they sit just 12 seconds behind Skylab. Skylab, very strong team. You wonder about the pacing out here as well. Nathan, there's going to be some teams that have saved a little bit for the finale. That will really pay off on a day like today here. Such a challenging course, Richmond Reverse.
Extremely. Now we're going to keep moving our way backwards here and see how the rest of the teams are faring. WAZ coming out of Austria here. It's going to be called Henderson, Christensen. Are there only two riders here from WAZ left? I wonder what is happening here. How many starters did they have? Is going to be my question with that. WAZ started with 2 riders today, it looks like. Wow. I mean, I don't think that they can get a time. We'll see what happens, but kudos to them for showing up. I mean, this is, for these 2 riders to show up and say, look, we're going to just get it out here. We're going to make it happen. This was on the schedule. We're going to do it. And I just want to give a big shout out to them because this is a hard day on the bike.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It shows these are 2 people that really stick to their commitments to things, that's for sure, as unfortunately they won't get a time for the race here today. But they do get to have that satisfaction of knowing that they raced every race in the series and that they didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, good on them. And they are being chased here by FZ.
And they might have had some teammates maybe had some technical issues, so they thought they were going to race, right? If you've gone to all the trouble to take the time off or block out that time and you're there on your trainer and then your teammates have technical issues, I'd ride. I'd go out and race it anyways.
Yeah, 100%. And good call there, Dave. I would as well. We are seeing a lot of people jumping into chat. It looks like KDL's jumping in here. Steve Domingos as well. We are getting a lot of questions about bike setups as we wait for the next times to come on through. I wanted to do a couple of things here real quickly. 2 really awesome things. Obviously, this week we've got World Championships coming at you. And that is a huge. Dave, you've been a huge part of that as well. And are you excited? I want to just talk about that a little bit. Knickerbocker, going to be a crazy climbing KOM finish. They're some of the best of the best. I don't think we've ever had anything like this. I don't think we've ever had anything like this kind of a build-up in the past for Zwift racing. This is the largest event, not of the year, but I think of all time when it comes to Zwift racing.
I really am so excited, and giving you a lot of credit, Nathan. I think we finally arrived at the place that we wanted, where the best esports athletes are getting a crack at it here. Of course, always with selection and national federations, it's really a challenge to get the best riders on that start line, and we've come a long, long way. And it's fascinating too, Nathan, that mix of riders that you have on the men's and the women's side. And making a prediction on who's going to win is so incredibly hard, isn't it? I mean, when you look at it, either way.
This is the thing about right now with the Worlds. I have no clue, honestly, because people have been doing so much work. And I think that people have had this on their calendar, looking forward to this and training for this in ways that they've never done before, right? Like, because this is so monumental, I just think that there's individuals, and I was talking also to somebody yesterday specifically about the discovery that is happening at the top level, that it's been years in the making now, but eventually you're going to find through this platform, in my opinion, the best cyclists in the world, because you will start pulling from the DNA pool in ways that we never were able to before, because you don't have the struggle of getting to bike races. You don't have the struggle of how expensive it is. Insanely expensive it is to get to the high level. It really evens the playing field for people who want to get involved and get discovered. And I have a feeling this year might highlight that a little bit. We'll see. We'll see.
No, I agree. I think the winner this year is going to be a little bit of a surprise to folks.
Tim does come in with sorry, Dave, I don't mean to jump, but just really quickly.
Yeah. What does Tim
is
say?
Making a really good point. Tim Fulford, who's been around for a long time. But what about this rider, right? I mean, a lot of people are like, is he stoppable? So, and I got to agree, like, that's kind of like, whoa.
No, absolutely, Tim. I put him. If I was allowed to choose 3 riders, he would be one of them. I also look at that Belgian team, Nathan. Not just Lionel Viassen, but someone like Matthias de Roos comes to mind for me.
Yeah, light kicky rider, right? Light rider who's got a lot of kick. Yes. That's a great point with de Roos. I see that in him as well, for sure.
That's who If they were, had wagering in Las Vegas on this, I bet you'd get decent odds on Matthias, and I think that he would be a rider not to sleep on for sure. Also, look at what the Danish guys are doing. Like Anders Fuldogger, he's coming into form again. And you're exactly right, Nathan. I do want to really point out that you have worked hard to get credit to the community riders that have earned it and deserved it. And I think we're starting to see those riders really getting their opportunity now to become world champion. It is going to be, I'm getting goosebumps already just thinking about it. It's going to go down as probably the most significant day of esports racing that we've seen in the short but amazing history that we've been enjoying, and we're really just getting going with that. We've got also the World Championship tournament coming up for the team time trialing. Yeah, I know folks are incredibly excited about that too.
On Thursday, if you haven't signed up for that, make sure to do so. You got till tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time. I might race. Yeah, I might race. We'll see if I can jump in with the team. It'd be fun to do so. We had a solid top 10 last week, but I have a feeling we're going to have some big hitters showing up. Speaking of World Championships, so let's take a quick little look at a preview, a little stinger of some fun for this. And then we'll have some in the pens again with Anna, as I know a lot of you are just showing up before your race. Let's go ahead and see what she has to say about what bike choice to have.
Hello and welcome to your In the Pens whiteboard session. I'm Anna Russell, the whiteboard queen, from Nathan, not from me. But here we go. We've got Richmond UCI reverse, 2 laps today in the TTT. Now I know you're probably sitting in there feeling pretty nervous about how to approach these climbs and maybe even your bike choice. I'm going to go through the bike choice today. So got to say, Tron is probably a good option for this one, just because you're hitting those 3 climbs back to back in the first parts of this race. Then you've got a lot of flat, but if you're not a climber, you're a bit nervous about them, you might want to go for that more lightweight setup of the Tron. Now, if you're okay with the climbs, I'm probably going to go personally for the Specialized Venge S-Works with their DT Swiss disc. Just because I kind of like the climbs, are a bit punchy. You can get up out of the saddle, push through the weight of the disc, and then you're going to be feeling really good on the rest of the flat parts of the course because that disc wheel just hums along so nicely, and you're going to kind of get a good aero advantage there. Now, some may say maybe a climbing setup on this course. I'm not sure about that. You're going to really, really struggle on the flats. I mean, you're definitely not going to go a Specialized Atheos. You're definitely not going to go some Millensteins. You're not sitting in there for a 20-minute climb. These climbs are short, less than 2 minutes. I would definitely be going that disc. Now, I know not all of you have the disc at the moment. If you don't have the Tron either, then I'd be looking at something like the Zip 808s with maybe the Canyon Aero Road 2021 would be my choice. Now, have a great race out there. We're just kind of experimenting with these pre-race in the pens sort of chit-chats about whiteboards. Today, we've obviously talked a little bit about bike choice. Maybe next week we'll go through to some sports psychology, how to get the most out of yourself. Maybe we could have a look at a bit more of a course kind of recon. You've got the great recons out there, but we'll have a look at that. But yep, there we go. This is it. In the pens with the whiteboard session, bike choice, Tron or disc. Good luck out there, guys. Have a great race.
Big thanks to Anna for putting that together for us. Dave, I mean, I really, she knows her stuff, that's for sure. And lots of great suggestions. I really appreciate that. And if you do want those tech pre-race schools, essentially whiteboard schools beforehand, make sure to jump on into the streams. We'll be playing those out before each and every one of the broadcasts that we do have here in EMEA. And then you do have Anna, though, herself in APAC. So I think she just does her own whiteboard session when she's running the APAC, Dave, rather than throwing out a video of her out there. But definitely great to have that feature from her.
Yeah, masterclass from Anna. They really got it covered on that Riot team, that's for sure. They've got the music with Christina Grossman and the intel, course intel and bike intel from Anna Russell. So, all right, let's take a look at the times coming in for 24K. Now, again, today's total distance out here is going to be right at 32K. So they are flying. Kirkmeyer with close to a 47-second advantage right now on Skylab. It's Cryogen Col de la Loze who are sitting 20 seconds behind them and seeing a little bit of separation now as BL13, the Bullets, are slotting in at 4th with a 32.08 behind Cryo's 31.50, 32.41 for FZR. And Generation X Oysters, the Flying Oysters out there, 34.06 their time right now. Again at 24K out here in Richmond. Here's the Finnish squad.
Yeah, FCR. Getting a little frustrated with WEZ, it looks like, perhaps. And one thing, you did see somebody in chat there saying, you're messing with our line. And for those that have not been a part of a team time trial, I had a really awesome team time trial last week with OMG. I actually jumped in with Oh My God, They Killed Kenny for the Thursday night TTT, and that was a well-oiled machine. Like, that was everybody, and I could tell that they had put. I was actually with Dan Pedroza, Dave, and hanging out with him, and I was actually hanging out with Dan Pedroza, Dave, in the TTT last Thursday, and with the Oh My God, They Killed Kenny team, and we just saw some chat in game here a moment ago saying, stop messing with the line, keep this straight line. And I don't know if a lot of people know this. We talk about this a lot week in, week out. And I think it's just really good to rehash, though, because you don't get a ton of communication from the game about what's happening with the draft at any moment. And some people might just feel helpless to it, if that makes any sense. Like why is my avatar pushing another avatar to the side? Or why am I not getting as much draft here? And it feels like I just have to hammer 5 watts per kilogram just to stay where is it? Am I even in a TTT at this point? What is the advantage of being behind these avatars if nothing's happening? And as you can see, the Finnish team here has a really good order, it seems like, of trying to keep that straight line and not push the other avatars out of the way. When I say push the other avatars, your avatars will actually fight for the bike in front of you. As you can see, these two are the bike. The game is trying to figure out, they're matching watts almost, which rider is supposed to be ahead at this point. Because the rider didn't drop to 0 and go all the way to the back, now at this point, the other riders have to kind of fight to get by. Maybe that was on purpose a little bit there to not find himself too far off the back at the end. But still, the riders are looking for position. So making sure you're holding that straight line as best as you can, not fighting others for the wheel they're trying to hold, because then they have to actually put out more watts and aren't really resting in the draft. It completely defeats the purpose a lot of times. And I do see FZR here doing a pretty dang good job of holding a pretty steady line here.
Yeah, it is much more challenging than if you've never done this before. Holding formation that's about half of the battle out here, to tell you the truth. And this is, I mean, if you were going to grade them, this is a solid B plus A minus right now from the Finnish team. They're down to the nitty gritty here as well, about 3.5K of racing left. And this is where you just open up the floodgates and let the watts flow.
100%. And we'll take a look here at Gen X Granlund here. This is going to be the Norway team. Bakken, Knutsen. It's going to be Rodo. We got 4 left, it looks like. Caleb Carl off the back, still recovering, it looks like. He recently had hip surgery, Caleb. And, not off the back. He actually has jumped in with the Jolly Boys. My bad, 100%. There's Ashton now takes a pull up toward the front. But Caleb,
I see.
One of the top athletes, and just coming back from surgery, only a couple of months out here, and still racing at a very, very high level.
Caleb is he's living quite the life, isn't he? Definitely, he's become a true inspiration out here in the world of ZRL. And taking a look, so there are 2 Skylab teams out here today. Skylab 1 has already finished. We're going to be looking now at Skylab 2. Caleb Carl in with that team. I think I might have earlier mentioned that he was in with the Ollie Peckover Skylab team, but this is obviously going to be our man right now as they drill it here in the final few K of racing.
It looks like
Skylab quite a program.
They do. They have an amazing program. As far as the battle for first here, I think it's over. Kirchmer at 30-43, and a little bit of an upset, as we did say, in the league standings. We'll see how this ends up playing out, because Kirchmer, they need 3 points. This is a good day for them. Skylab, I think, though.
Skylab, though, might only lose 1 point.
Correct. Yeah.
Right, so making it a 2-point differential, which means it's obviously going to go right down to the final race of the season next week for the last points race here. Skylab, they need a little bit of help here.
I'm going to jump on over just to the picture-in-picture, or the side-by-side here, just to give everybody a heads up that the women have jumped out on course for the Women's Central Div 1. The Canyon Coalition Beta team. I believe, is it Coalition? Let me double check here, make sure I get this right. Canyon Esports Beta Women, excuse me. On the right-hand side of your screen, starting their race. The current league standings, they've really walked away with this one at 117, but there is a battle between Sox Watts, Zed Sunrays, and SZ Team Swedish Swifter Sin. Very close, all of them within 1 point differentiation from second to third to fourth place right now. So we'll definitely be jumping in with the women in just a moment here as they get out on course. We're going to jump back on over to the men, just get a couple more of their split times and get some results in as they look to finish up their race here as we look at Skylab and Caleb Carl. This is the second team with the Jolly Boys. And Zed Boromir are also out here, the New Zealand team. This is a team and a brand
Oh,
across all of Zwift that has really shown up in the past year, Dave, have put a huge splash. This is kind of one of those breakout teams. We've got a few of them, and this is definitely one of them in the world of Zwift racing right now.
yeah, without a doubt. It's been so cool to watch. I happened to see Anna Russell putting up the cheese rollers. There's a whole culture in New Zealand around esports that's been developing very rapidly out here, and NZ Bro is really the cornerstone of all of that, as they are now burying themselves. You're going to see as the teams finish, you can see that it goes red. So 6 riders from Kirkmeyer have already come across the line, or they started with 6, I should say, and they've already got their finish time. That's not the finish time, that's the 24K check, as well as a chance to look at the results out here today as Skylab. So Kirkmeyer comes in as the top team, and it looks like they're going to really look forward to an exciting finale next week out here. 2K to go for NZ Bro.
And it looks like Fabric are about 3 minutes behind on this. Having a struggle of a day, I think, out on this climbing course, but good for them. The Watts Beats to show up and throw down. 35-14 was their last time coming on through. So as this is going to complete the coverage of the Middle East Division 1, we'll get results up for this this division in probably the next 5-10 minutes or so. We're going to head on over to the women's racing, though, as they start to come on in for some of their times, as the Canyon Beta women are just making their way down the other side of Libby Hill. Dave, as we jump into a new race and these ladies are just finishing those first 3 intense climbs, do you want to speak to what they just experienced a little bit?
Yeah, you bet. So really, I mean, the 3 climbs, that's really the feature. It's this course, we're on the Richmond UCI Worlds course. We're racing it in the reverse direction. So instead of it going Libby 23rd and Governors, you have the experience of that Governors climb is a long drag either way. There's a valley that separates the 2 sides of this course. Right now, this is the hilly side that we're looking at the Canyon ladies on. The other side, when you're in the city, the high rises, the downtown Richmond, that's where the finish line, Broad Street, and all of the expo areas and the hotels where the team stayed. And then this is where really the racing action happened out here on this part of the course. So they've now completed all of that and are making their way back along this flat section. And then you'll start working your way back up into the downtown area. It's an incredibly challenging course out here for a team time trial. There's no doubt about it. It's not just about having a team that's got the wattage. You got to be able to get over those 3 sharp climbs. And let's take a look at how the season has been playing out here. It's been Canyon Esports every single week, but they haven't won every race that they've done. Socks for Watts has been a force out there, and they're in a real battle right now with Zed Sunrays and the Swedish Swifters Sin team. It's really close for second there.
Yeah, super close. I mean, Canyon Esports Beta, they really don't have anything to worry about, I don't think. They'd have to have a really, really rough day out there in order to lose this division. But, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen some big upsets in the past, but I think they've kind of got this one locked down. Really, the battle is between second, third, and fourth out there today and through the rest of the seasons. So solid so far here, as you can see. Well, look at the interesting. What's the time gaps? Is it 1 minute or 30 seconds? Is what I'm wondering between these starters.
Well, I have a feeling it's 30 seconds because Rachel Elliott is en fuego. So this is a team that's got their act together here today. Socks for Watts. Now look at all the Tron bikes. They clearly, I have a feeling that Rachel Elliott sent out a memo and everyone got their Tron bike out if they had one in their stable. Rachel Elliott has been absolutely phenomenal in the races that she's competed in this season, Nathan. She's been I'll say she's the rider of the season for me. Even though she didn't take every start, she's had 3 solo victories so far. This is the 7th race of this season 2 of the 2021-22 ZRL WTRL season, and Rachel Elliott has been a legend. And she, by herself, Nathan, can make such a huge impact by basically riding half of the time on the front for the Sox for Watts team.
And yeah, as you can see here, that's going to be a huge help to them as they have brought back a good amount of time already, as it is a 1 minute gap for EMEA Central women, I'm being told. So 42 seconds up at this point, which means over those first climbs, this Sox for Watts team has brought back a good amount of time so far. You know, it's almost 20 seconds that they've brought back. So again, this is the cool thing about the team time trial, is that we are seeing these situations where these teams are able to shine in a single race. Maybe not be able to win the points races quite as much throughout the season, but a single race like today, they can really put on their calendar and say, that's one we're going to take down.
And Sox for Watts are notoriously great at team time trialing. They've built a whole franchise that really started in Thursday's WTRLs. This is Claire Martin. Gabriella Norden is the Swedish rider on the team. Gemma Sargent, also from the United Kingdom, like Claire. Jane Despes, legend, out of Australia. The German rider, Katrin van Heijn, and Louise Robinson, along with Rachel Elliott. So this is a very talented team. They're good at this discipline. They're motivated today. And things would have been different. Things would have been very different if Rachel Elliott had taken the start at every race this year. I think the depth of Canyon probably still has them on top of the table, Nathan. But Sox for Watts would have been tightening up that race into the final coming up next week.
Definitely, this is going to tighten up a tad, but not going to be anything really, I think, for Canyon to worry about too much here. But Zed's son, they're keeping them within. Look at this. It's only 54 seconds now between Zed's son have shown up. They're actually bringing time back to Sox for Watts. This is not something I expected, to be honest. But Zed's son, solid
is faster
ride.
than Sox for Watts.
That is surprising. And we're only at 6K now at this point. A lot of climbing up front. We're seeing an aero power up already actually being used, and now some feathers on one of these sections of the course as they do hit the opposite side of Governor Street climb here now. This is really the slog out here, 5% gradient for quite a long time. Those punchers, you can lose a lot of time
hard
as well. Like the other side of 23rd, the other side of Libby is definitely very difficult. But this is just a steady grind uphill until you hit those flat sections of the course. You do see some of the starters. I love that and they're really separated, actually. That's something you got to watch out for.
That was Sox for Watts going the other way. I think. No,
that's the start of the race. That's the start of the course. That's Governor Street.
Got you.
So, yeah, coming out of the pen.
This climb is deceivingly hard. There's no doubt about it. The steepest climb that you see has got to be after you're done with 23rd and you've come down and then starting up the backside of Libby. But it's short. This goes on for quite a while here. They're finally up and over the top. We'll get that check at 8K. If Zed's son has the fastest time at that check, that's actually good for Sox for Watts because they want more teams to finish ahead of Canyon Esports today.
That's a good point. That's a really great point, actually.
Yeah, it's that numbers game, right? You can only do so much. If Sox for Watts beats Canyon Esports, but only by one place, well, they only bring back 1 point in the season total. But if they can get Swedish Swifters and Zed's son to come through, all of a sudden it becomes 4 or 5 points is the differential. And that's actually doable in the final race, although you still need some help from these other teams here if you want to beat Canyon, which I would say, Nathan, that would go down as one of the bigger upsets in the final races of esports ZRL, but it's not impossible.
I think also one thing it would really highlight is a sprinters team like Canyon, or a team that's got a lot of breadth to their team to be able to grab a ton of points. I think that would really highlight that it's not over till it's over, and a team could be very top heavy when it comes to the points racing on certain courses. But then on courses or competitions like we're seeing here that just take a little bit more of these watt monsters and some technique in this discipline, I think it would just go to show that you can't just walk away with that, and that there's the horses for courses thing that you would say there, Dave, and it can show up later in the season and have a little bit of an upset. And depending on the next courses here, I just have a feeling Beta are just really good at points racing. The Canyon, and we'll see what happens at the back end of the season. But I mean, we keep coming in with these times like this, and I would be a little bit scared, to be honest, if I were the Canyon women. I mean, if they continue to lose time out here like this, it could end up being look at this. I mean, it's already a 12:19 to 12:49. They need to start working on their time trial. And in real life racing, Dave, how many times have you seen a time trial upset like a big stage race? I mean, it does happen a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Unfortunately, we don't see the team time trial enough these days. And I think that what WTRL is doing is helping to repopularize the event, that's for sure. But Nathan, when these splits come in, I'm expecting to see Zed's Son finish, or not finish, but come in with a split time quicker than Canyon as well here. That's a really big gap when you think about only 8K there. Sox for Watts is going 5 seconds, 6 seconds a kilometer faster right now. 5 seconds a kilometer, more like 4 seconds a kilometer faster than Canyon Esports out here. That's significant. Jane Despres brings a tremendous amount of experience from Australia to the Sox for Watts team. And they also, Nathan, it's worth noting that all the time in WTRLs and Thursdays, these are some of the benefits that you see. Are everybody on the team is a bit of a team time trial expert. This is going to be Wahoo Lacole that we're looking at now.
Wahoo Lacole on the left-hand side of the screen with the men's central just taking off. I just wanted to get a highlight of how high the speeds are on that initial Governor Street reverse. I mean, they just come flying down 70 plus kilometers per hour. You get into those orange numbers right off the bat. This is the way to do it. We're seeing GFTBE here now 63. See, now if they don't punch, you'll have a really big difference in speed here. 66, 65, not really getting up into that 70 kilometers per hour as quickly as WLC did. Just doing these little super tucks, yeah, that's nice to hold on to some energy, but they're not going to go up over 75, whereas we saw WLC go well over 75. Those are seconds already gained by that WLC team, and they'll be able to carry that speed through over toward this climb over here. So WLC showing up. I mean, that's the techniques you got to know when it comes to Zwift racing.
Absolutely, Nathan. I mean, you got to get out in front of that one. You're going to pay the piper one way or another, but if you can get that, yeah, absolutely. That's a great pro tip out there. Get up to speed dramatically quickly, and then all of a sudden you're starting to bank a couple tenths of a second here, a couple tenths there. All of a sudden it's a second, then it's 2 seconds. And in that first few K, I mean, I'm going to guess that that's probably using Rachel Elliott and her experience, what Sox for Watts did to get that nice advantage. They went out incredibly hard early. That's really the only way that you get that kind of a time advantage in 8K. That's where the first check comes up. This is going to be the revelation of the 2022 season, Wahoo Lacole. Men, women, Nathan, this team has been en fuego out there. That confirmed it, didn't it? Another team coming in quicker than Canyon.
Yeah, it did. That was, real quickly, that did come out. I just wanted to highlight, though, with the men's side of things real quickly what the situation is. And I did pick this division specifically because that WLC versus Hexagon is tied at the top. This might be the best. To watch.
I think this might be the best, Nathan, battle that we've got going in ZRL right now. Hexagon and Wahoo Lacole. I mean, just man for man, these teams match up incredibly well. This is going to be the race of truth today for these two teams. Hexagon, the French team. Wahoo Lacole, international squad.
And this team is new this season. That's the other thing that I really wanted to highlight here. taking on one of the top teams that is Wahoo Lacole, that last season really made a name for themselves over the past year. But the Hexagon is new, not just in the 2021-22, but 2021-22 season 2. This is the first time they've really made a splash out there at the top level here. So this Hex team, definitely watch out to see what they can pull off here. But they're going to struggle against the experience, I think, of WLC right now, as they've closed down a solid amount of time already. That time may be just knowing how to ride the downhills well.
Yeah, Nathan, I don't remember Hexagon before this season. Talk about making a splash in the ZRL. So Hexagon, presented by Ceres, is the team. It's not entirely French, but it is a majority of French riders here. Cedric Stempel, Corentin Navarro, Julien Souton, Martin Lind, Pierre Almeida, and Samuel Pluhonik is the squad that we've got out here. This is a very dangerous team. They're a team that's got tremendous potential, and they have locked horns in an epic battle with Wahoo Lacole A1 out here. So we continue to make our way around the globe. We're still in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. This is now Central Division 1As that we're in with.
Budge
Wow.
goes to the front with an aero power up, gets them to 74, and they've been listening to the tech talks about it's almost more important because everybody around this level is going to climb at a pretty high watt per kilogram, right? But on the downhills, how much speed can you get? Well, Budge just showed us 74 kilometers per hour on the other side of a very short Libby. Using that aero power up, perfectly timed. They've brought back 7 seconds. We'll start getting some times in for this men's Central in about 4K from now. But, man, this Wahoo Lacole team, they've shown up to race today, that's for sure.
It's really interesting, Nathan. There's almost like a speed limit on the climbs, right? Because of the group team concept, you can only go so fast up Governors or 23rd or Libby in that order in this reverse case. But on the downhills, that's where the race is to be won. And if you can get up to speed faster than the other teams and go faster while you're descending, that's where you're going to eke out that little bit of time, because this is going to be very, very close today between Hexagon, presented by Ceres, and Wahoo Lacole. What a battle. And right behind them, don't forget about Grand Fondo Team Belgium out there, sitting at 109 points in third, Sunrise Racing Team in fourth, and Team NLA Elite fifth. The Dobermans from VCRT. So the Doggos are branching out. The Dobermans sixth right now. Lifting Gear Products seventh. Backpedal eighth. Coalition Aurora ninth. And ZESP, the Hamsters, in 10th.
I like it. They're running
Oysters, hamsters, we're really branching out.
Well, at least the hamsters are doing it right. They're inside on, in their little hamster wheel, giving it a go here right now. That's
habit trails. Yeah.
Liking it here. As let's head back on over to the women's race here as we take another look at Sox or Watts and see what these times are as they are starting to come in. Almost all of our first 8K times are in at this point. We're taking a look again at Sox Watts. They've almost caught the Canyon women's beta team, actually. They are flying.
So
Zetsun SZ here. This is a struggle for Canyon. We said this, that might be. And even BBB are on their heels, Dave.
If BBB beats Canyon today, it's a game changer. That's the threshold. That's the line that Canyon cannot afford to cross, because it becomes incredibly, incredibly dangerous for them to hold on and win this season. Wow. This is right here, folks, turning into an incredible day of racing for the women out here. Nathan, I just happened to see yesterday, I was reading a piece about Rachel Elliott. I had almost forgotten that she's legally blind. Just with what a talented athlete she is, you forget what she went through sometimes to get to this point. And I again, her story of having the stroke, a blood vessel in her brain burst a few years ago. She, is basically back to as strong as she was. The only real difference, according to her, is that her vision is still wonky, is a word that she uses. What an amazing story. BBB. Let's focus on that though, Nathan, because these women are having one of their best rides ever in the ZRL out here today. And they've still got 6 riders, the maximum number of riders together. What a performance by Hurley and company.
Yeah, BBB, solid ride here. Cameron, Teresa, Pinky's out here with Karen as well, coming out of Scotland. So good ride by them. Ravon, a little ways behind them, as well as Team NL between the two at a 13-minute marker at the 8K. Man, 8K in 13 minutes goes to show how much elevation is up front, Dave, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, right, exactly.
The amount of time it's taken the riders here to get through that first little bit. And then we have these flatter sections up top on Richmond. If you haven't done Richmond, you're unfamiliar with this course. It's one of the earliest additions to the game and World Championship course, obviously. And this section, though, it's essentially you do 3 really sharp, punchy climbs either on the back end or on the front end, depending on which direction you're going. The reverse, you hit them right away. On the forward for Richmond, you hit them at the end. Dave, you were there for World Championships. When you hit them at the end, it's just a punch in the face to the finish line, essentially.
Yeah, it was such an incredible moment. But that was the day that Peter Sagan won. The attack that won the race was really on 23rd. So again, we're racing reverse UCI course here today. It's Libby 23rd and then Governors. And that long drag up Governors turns into a descent for us out here. But Nathan, the energy that day, when this course was announced, I think a lot of people wondered, how would you make a World Championship quality circuit in Richmond? Well, they more than delivered. I love the story that Charlie Eisendorf has about going down, because 2015 at this point, so 2015 in September of that year, Zwift is probably just coming out of beta at that point, Nathan. It's pretty early in the timeline for Zwift. I'm not sure if you've ever really looked at exactly what day.
Give me dates again.
September of 15.
Yeah, so it was still actually in beta at that point. So I do remember the release. This was the first new world that was ever created. They developed it
outside of Watopia.
Outside of Watopia, yep. The Watopia was there. And then after Watopia, it was beta, and then Watopia, Jarvis initially, then Watopia, then Richmond was made. We actually had a race on the Richmond course right around that time that you're talking about with GCN, and that was a ton of fun participating in it. That was one of my first bigger live streams actually over on the Twitch channel, and live streamed that. And I went toe to toe with Simon. Actually, me, Simon, and a couple other guys that are still around the community raced up Governor Street toward the end of to the finish line for like a top 3, top 4, top 5. So it was
that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Anyways, that's old school Zwift history, but it's got a lot of history. This course, that's for sure. Not just with World Championships, but now with Zwift.
And it's not necessarily one of the favorite courses in the general population, but for racers, this course remains extremely popular. And you can see why. There's a lot. It's just great race course. There's a lot to work with out here. For team time trialing that we're doing here today, it's on the extreme edge. No doubt about it. This is a very challenging course, as we've got 32 kilometers, 2 laps out here on the Richmond UCI reverse course. Wow.
They made the catch over 23rd. Yep, they've passed now Canyon Beta, who started ahead of them, and they gained 5 seconds.
This is where it gets a little tough when you have a point-based season scoring table, because this is going to be a commanding win from Sox for Watts, but without the help of the other teams, they only get 1 point back on Canyon Esports. But it looks like today, Zedsun, the Swedish Swifters, and maybe even BBB are going to be able to help change the dynamic heading into the final race of the season.
A little bit of chatter here for Rachel coming on through as Duncan McCrae comes in, and he's got the Hobnobs branding still.
I agree, Duncan.
Duncan, he's so great. Gina Van Rulsom's coming in. What a story. Was just thinking today how amazing it is that e-racing can give opportunities to people who normally are not able to race at all. And Gina, for Rachel, I do
Thanks,
know Rachel
Gina.
personally, and she does race still in a tandem, as the stoker. So it is good. She can still race in real life, but obviously not
Although,
solo any longer.
don't you think Gina's point is really good, though?
It's
Because
100%
Rachel,
good.
yeah, she really loves racing. And to do the tandem, you're right, she does race in real life. And I would love to see her win a Paralympic gold medal at some point, talking about Rachel Elliott. But for Rachel, she can race whenever she wants, and she doesn't have, I mean, my gosh, a tandem bike is quite a bit of equipment to move around, and finding a partner to race with you. In this case, Rachel can do what Rachel likes to do. This is where we had the announcing stand set up, Nathan, right around the corner on the racer's right-hand side here. That big
Right there at that little
Zwift
tent
tent,
section. Yeah, the
right?
Zwift tents weren't there though, I would assume.
They weren't, but I like to think they were.
Let's take a look at the splits here as they come in. Sox Watts still walking away with this one. Zedsun SC are there. The question is going to be about the yellow kits of BBB, I think, today. Because if you look at the point standings right now, let's take a look at this as we make our cameras get through the trees. BBB, so, okay, we're talking about 9 points. This could half the points, really. If BBB can take down Canyon Beta as well, it would half the differentiation. It's still a lot to make up, though. I mean, we've got, I don't know, they'd have to have another really serious struggling day, and they've shown themselves to be so dominant when it comes to points racing.
What is next week's course, I'm wondering? The harder, the better, apparently, for everybody out. So for the teams that are looking to try to move up on this table, the harder, the better, it seems, with today's course being incredibly hard. This is going to be Sox for Watts. Let me give a shout out to the other ladies working hard out here, as Gabriella Norden has had a strong ride, Gemma Sargent, Jane Despeth, Katrin Van Haan, Louise Robinson, Claire Martin, along with Rachel Elliott, making up the Sox for Watts team. That kit that they're wearing, and actually they're wearing a ZRL champion helmet too, aren't they? Or half of the riders are wearing their ZRL team champions helmet. Always nice to see.
It is great to see. Your question is Legends in Lava. 1 lap points race. Titans Grove climb reverse. The JW Bridge sprint forward and the Volcano climb are going to be the sections for the first across the line segment. The fastest through segments next week.
That's not an easy day.
Bridge and the Volcano climb as well. I think the Volcano climb could open up some opportunities still. Titans Grove climb, it's not too sharp. I think that the Canyon Beta women are going to have a good time with that. But the Volcano climb, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they've shown themselves on courses like this to be very strong. I don't think they have to be. Oh, excuse me. That's Legends in Lava is the. Excuse me. I'm totally way off. My fault, everybody. I was looking at the playoffs. We're actually Latisse Express. I think they're going to be just fine. My bad. 6 laps, 43 kilometers, and essentially a sprinter's race. Canyon Beta are going to do just fine. I have a feeling at Latisse Express. My fault, guys. My fault. I was looking at the final race on the schedule, and the playoffs, it says P1, P2 next to them. I just read it as number 8. So looking through here, it looks like let's go ahead and move our way back to BBB because they're going to be the ones that we need to talk about. And what are they going to accomplish out here today? It looks like they are moving really slow, though, at this point over the top of here. See if we get some times coming in.
Well, they're having to regroup, it looks like, with that split. They're coming back together now. Not their finest moment. Yeah.
24:18, 24:31. I have a feeling that they've maybe done enough work here at this point as these times start to come in to hold off BBB.
Yeah, and as I said, Nathan, that was critical. They couldn't afford to give up that bridge, right? It was already not a great day. They couldn't afford to let it get any worse, and it looks like they're responding now, picking up the pace. This is BBB that we're in with here. This is a team that's on the cusp of moving into the next level. Allie Cameron, Janie Holm, Karen Otram, Michelle Hurley, Sarah Lucas, and Teresa Daviette. tough part of the course. Look at that gradient, 22%. That's going to max out what most e-trainers can handle. I was just out with the tax team. Their Neo can do 25% gradient. And I don't know that we see anything more than 25.
Ouch. That's
Yeah.
intense. Little bit of suggestion here for any riders that are watching that are wondering how to take this on. Let's see if Rayvon does this well. Dudas says forget it. This is like her forte. Just saying goodbye to the rest of the team. But on the other end of this, as Tennille Irish looks to chase down her teammate, you want to take as much speed on this downhill as you possibly can, and then roll that through with a team, kind of cycling toward the bottom of this, and take that speed with the roll through and rest up enough right through here, though, that with the team's momentum to then, you do a little jump at that 4% back to 0 now. And then do you see how this rider has no momentum because no team is around them? And then bam, these riders kick.
Yeah.
And you want to just kick as hard as you can at the bottom, actually, to carry momentum so that it gets through this sharp part quicker. The faster you get over that 22%, the better. How can I say that?
It's a great
but
point.
The more momentum you carry through that 22%, the quicker it's going to be over, because that is going to be absolutely crucial to how much speed you carry through. So it's really a momentum thing.
Carrying that speed, right? And I mean, it's absolutely the faster you go over the steepest section, the quicker it's over.
Exactly. And so speed through here, using 23rd Street and the suffering you do on the backside of that to your advantage as you carry speed on the downhill, though. Really, I mean, you had to suffer to get over 23rd Street. Don't waste the gradient on the other side and how much speed it gives you by slowing down a whole bunch going into that climb. You got to take the whole team with you. Use that momentum and get over this other side of Libya as quickly as you can, because it's a quick punch. You get over quickly, you can really gain some time.
And you really all need to be on the same page, Nathan, with what you're saying. If you get everybody synced up and work it together, it's a big difference maker out there.
And I'm liking the comments here from Kim Little and the crew over in chat here. The Lettuce Express. That's what I'll be calling it from now on. Lettuce Express here. Next week's point race as we look at Tennille. She's looking forward to that, I think, if she goes to 0 watts per kilogram. Oh, now an aero power up. They're really trying to bring things back together right now, it looks like, in this women's race. Current time situation, this is going to be at that check marker for the 16K. It's currently Sox Watts at the top, 23:33. Zedson chasing them down, or trying to. Only 11 seconds behind. I'm going to go take a look at Zedson because
they are having a great day.
I mean, they're keeping one of the top teams for team time trialing within 11 seconds right now.
That's unbelievably impressive. Zedson, wow. And Swedish Zwifters, Nathan, they're only 4 seconds behind that. This is much closer for the top spot than I anticipated. I thought Sox for Watts might be riding away with it. This is going to be Swedish Zwifters that we're in with now this team, perennial contenders. They really don't miss a step. Is Asa Fast Berglund, Cornelia Engström, very familiar names, Louise Rundqvist, Malin Hagström, and Marie Rind making up the Swedish Zwifters. Although I see 3. Is there a 4th just behind here?
Yeah, Asa is just behind, it looks like. Rind is there, too.
There we go. All 5.
All of them
right.
are there. It's just a little bit separated. Engström is really trying to press the pace, and you know why? They see Zedson in their sights. They were only 4 seconds behind, but they've brought it back to 10 here at this point, it looks like. I think they've brought back 10 seconds, actually. They may be winning the race against Zedson. Second place is definitely up for grabs still. 23:48 versus 23:44.
I think first place is still up for grabs, to tell you the truth.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, Rachel's gone so hard, but I mean, it's only 11 seconds is their advantage. So they're through 24K, 35:23. It's going to be interesting if that's under 10 seconds to Swedish Zwifters or Zed Sunrays. That's going to be an indicator that they're in for the race of their life.
Let's get a little bit of side by side here. We'll get these checks in just a moment for the women's race, but the men have started their second lap in the Central EMEA, and they've kept it so close. It's still pretty much deadlocked, Dave, between Hexagon and WLC. It hasn't really actually. So Hexagon in the last lap, remember it was like 24 seconds for WLC at this exact point on the last lap. Right now, it is deadlocked at where it started. This is a battle playing out here right now for us. 20:37, 20:43, 5-second difference at the last checkpoint now. Granfondo are there with the 21. This isn't even a conversation. For first place, it's just these two teams.
Absolutely. And right now, I mean, Hexagon wins lap 1. Wahoo Lacole goes out very, very hard. Let's see if they can redouble their efforts. This is going to be, it could be 1 second separating these teams at the finish line. It's a great indicator for the French Hexagon team, as this is EMEA that we're in with. They have the entire squad still here, Nathan, as they are now working their way into, really, they're through the most challenging part of lap number 2.
Something I want to highlight here is it seems to me that WLC get time on the climbs, and it looks to me that they're losing it on the back end of the course.
Watch how quickly they pick up speed here. This is Hexagon that we're with. So they're trying to follow what you were saying, Nathan. It's just ramp this up.
Yeah, and you do see WLC. Let's see how they do about it here. As they do have, it looks like Budge making his way to the front again on the downhill with the cobbles. Now trying to get into that 57 kilometers per hour as quickly as they possibly can. There it is, into the super tug. Budge should pull through with a solid kick here in just a moment. He's getting gapped up in the 7.2 watts per kilogram. Now up in the 73 kilometers, 75 kilometers per hour. 24 seconds up are their competitors from them on the riders nearby list. But that means that they have brought back 6 seconds because it was a 30-second gap between them at the start. That time jab will change a lot at the front end of this course, though, with the differentiations of speed. Really, the telltale will be once they get up onto that flatter sections to really tell what those gaps are really at. Obviously, we got the gaps here with the 16K marker. But if I'm a racer, I'm really watching those rider nearby list as well to see what we're bringing back live as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a valuable thing and something that makes racing team time trials out here so much cooler when you're doing it on Zwift, no doubt. So this is Wahoo Lacole here. They're just a few seconds down. That might just be motivating them, however, as this has been one of the really exciting teams to watch this year, as Alex Coe, Joe Reese, Kenny Neeson, Paul Hamlet, Sieben Velling, and Will Budge, who's been very active out here. This is Alex, the Finnish rider on the team, going back now to the GFT Belgium team, and Van Loon coming down Libby.
And as they do, they've got a good time, 21:18. We've got Team NL just kind of stuck themselves in between here, and they may not be sitting in third place overall at the moment for the league standings, but they're third place overall at the moment when it comes to the team time trial at that 21:15. Battle for third, only 3 seconds separating these two teams.
Yeah, it's actually, almost like two different races going on with Hexagon and Wahoo Lacole both showing that they've got premier qualities. No doubt this is going to be the Dutch team that we're with now, and Janssen. Here, they're having a great day, though, holding off the Belgians, the Granfondo team Belgium, and the Australian VCRT Dobermans. A little bit of a gap back to back pedal, and then lifting gear, Coalition Aurora in. It's very close there, too. 21:56, 21:58, and 21:59 for 6th, 7th, and 8th out on course. This is the Dobermans that we're in with.
I love the doggos. And are they starting to name their teams
specific
dogs
breed?
Then? Specific breeds of dogs. I like it. VCRT, great job, guys. I know when these avatars. It's funny how I've been watching Zwift racing for so long that I can see the avatars when they're climbing, and when an avatar is moving that slow, I actually personify the suffering into it. Like my mind Literally, like right
You
here
know
when I
that
see the
hurts,
cadence,
right?
I know the cadence
Yeah.
is going so slow, and I'm watching the avatar and how slow it's moving, and I'm like, this is like I almost like see the same kind of climbing you see in real life on the suffering. Like I see the avatar suffering. It's so funny how that works now.
I always feel like this is where Zwift gets too real on the steep climbs, right?
for
Like,
the
hey, we can
legs,
fake it a
for
little
your
bit,
legs,
right?
right?
Yeah, yeah,
For your legs, right? It gets too real. This is too real. Too real.
yes.
Let's bring back the realness of Tad is what some of these riders are saying right now. As we jump on in, who are we with here? LGP is this? Who is this going to be? CIM. It looks like Backpedal One here, looking to chase them down as well. As Backpedal One here with a 21:56. How are they battling out? It looks like they're battling it here with the Beat Cycling
Lifting gear.
as well as Lifting Gear. That LGP team. Only a few seconds separating those three teams, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Lifting Gear is a team that it's been fun watching them get their legs underneath them this season. Andy Nichols, Eugene Cross, Luke Hind, and Nick Latimer. I have taken the start here today. This is
Yeah,
Mr.
they're
Hind,
using this.
Luke, that we're in with.
This was a kit that was really, really desired early on. The level 20 was the highest one of the highest you could get at one point, and riding in that level 20 kit was kind of
This
like
was
the
a
thing. It
status
was like the
symbol at
thing.
one point.
Yeah, it was
right?
like the
Yeah.
thing. You got your 20 kit, okay. And that's early beta was.
Oh,
it
I could
was-
easily imagine Kim Little hot-shotting around in this kit
That
like
definitely
a
happened.
peacock. Right?
Oh yeah, that definitely happened. We all of us who had our level 20 kits, it was right alongside the 100-miler kit too. Oh, you haven't got your 100-miler kit? You only got the 100-kilometer gray one? Oh, and you totally would don the black 100-miler like I'm someone who's done 100 miles on Zwift. It was
Well, it's funny, but when you talk about why Zwift has been such a phenomenon, it's all of these little things that maybe it doesn't mean something to you, but it means something to someone out there, right? The gamification and, all of the layers, and you can just keep finding Easter eggs out here. That's for sure. McCurry Island is an Easter egg factory, to be honest, with the
saw
Kappa
Kappa
and everything.
yesterday. I did a
Did
couple of
ya?
badges on McCurry, and I did Kappa Quest, and definitely saw Kappa yesterday. Gotta get some more screenshots of that guy. He's so elusive.
So exciting when you see it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually was. I did freak out. Like, there he is. It's the Kappa. All right. Socks for Watts. Here we go. They've done it. It looks like.
Looks like
Game
they're gonna do it.
over. Yeah, game
Yeah.
over.
So it got close, it got closer, and now it's opening back up. Rachel doing what Rachel does, Socks for Watts. This was their day. And unfortunately for them, they just needed BBB, Rave-On, or Coalition Synergy to have an exceptional day as well. And they didn't quite get everything they needed if they wanted to win the season. But they'll make it a little bit closer here.
Lots of power-ups being blown right to the line, as we do see Sargent taking over with that arrow power-up. And this is going to be it for Socks to Watts now when it comes to their race for the day. SC Sin here looking to try and take down Zedson. They've brought the time back. We thought they might be, and they are having a great back end of the ride. Canyon Beta, they're not going to have the same domination today that we've seen from them when it comes to the points racing so far, as you see that 117 for the league standing so far. So definitely not the best for Team Time Challenge, something they're going to need to be working on, but I have a feeling they're looking forward to the Latisse Express next week. It's going to be a pure sprinters race. Zedson fading. Will have they brought back the time? It's 4 seconds now that's SC Zin were able to get on them. I think they're holding on to that, as you do see that 56 seconds right here with Engstrom, but they got to go all the way to the line between these two. It's going to come right down to this last little bit of landscape, I think.
Yeah, this is where you really, the lactic acid is pooling in your legs at this point. Downtown Pain City seems incredibly relevant here, as you've got to fight through this last K, and every rider matters here. They've got no wiggle room, so the time will be taken off of this group. Fourth rider, that's the wheel you're looking for. And it is just a couple of seconds, so this could go either way between Zedson or Swedish Swifters out here.
Yeah, and that's a great point about the fourth rider, actually, with this crew that's making the way to the line, because I think SC Zin have a couple extra bodies, and because of that, they can just open up a sprint, most likely. Oh, no, they've dropped a few. Excuse
They're
me.
down to 4.
I said, yeah, so this is head-to-head racing now.
Yeah, wow. Total drag race going on out here.
42
So
kilometers per
32K.
hour. If we want to match it here on this section, 42, 43. Now, though, from S Zin, 44 here now, as we're seeing the Swedish Zwifters, 44 here now. This is a drag race, neck and neck, 5
See,
seconds. I have a feeling that SZ has done it, though. I really do.
I'm with you on that. There's a little bit of a riser that they hit right now. You can see it's gone up to 2% grade. This takes you to the finish line. Well, you can always go to WTRL.racing for results. This one's going to be extremely close here for second today. Socks for Watts, clearly the platinum standard, as our race 7 of community, ZRL, WTRL, just about done and dusted. The second and final team time trial being paid. This is the Swedish Zwifters bringing it home now.
Canadian Sports Beta already finishing out there. BBB Racing, they are battling it with Rave On. I think they've settled that one, though, on the day so far. We do have NZ Bro Arwin out there still, as well as Coalition Rhapsody. Big shout-outs to them as they make their way around course. This is going to be the finish here for SZ as they throw down some power-ups. Here's Team NL. Ladies, currently with the 36-23, sitting in 8th place. And I wonder if Ravon got their team organized together. It looks like they did, as they were having a little bit of struggle on the front end of the climbs, just hammering away. And now we do have 5 here with going to be Whitehorse, Cross, Dudas. Tennille Irish is out there, and R with a little bit of an arrow power up on the cobbles. Is Tennille actually on this lightweight setup? What is going on here? This is like the lightest of the lightest. As she took the Athos, it looks like.
Huh. Well, so teams finishing now, you see as they go red here on our leaders table, that means that they've come across the line. We'll wait for these finishing times. I think it's no question about Socks for Watts delivering the win today. We're really wondering about Swedish and Zedsun to see who ends up in second. Canyon Esports theoretically should hold on for 4th without too much trouble out there, as they've got a bit of a buffer back to BBB Racing. This is Rave On fighting for a top 5 spot out here today.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can hold on here. It's really between them. I'm not sure. BBB, I think, has
It looks
really
like they're
solidified. Yeah, they're going to be holding on for 6th, though, as they do have 16 seconds between them and Coalition Synergy. I wouldn't count Coalition Synergy out if they're able to rally in this last few K.
Yeah, it's certainly not over 16 seconds. You can make that up on a course like this, but things looking like we've established, for the most part, our placings after a tough day. I mean, over 45 minutes. That 261 meters of climbing, that number doesn't sound like as much pain as it delivered.
No, it does. Yeah, that's true. Definitely true. We do have up next a couple of more races to come. We are covering across the board here a lot of racing today. This is going to be this week. A lot of times, every other week we have extra long for the broadcast. We are covering the men's Central Division that's still happening out in front of us. But next up, we are going to have the Women's West as well as the Men's West for EMEA. So if you are waiting for that and you're hanging out in the pens looking to watch your broadcast of your team time trial, we're going to go ahead. We're going to use this before each one of the races. Take a quick little break and let Anna let you know what to use for your bikes out here. And we'll also take a look at the World Tournament that's coming up, as well as the World's preview here. So let's go ahead and take a look at those as we wait for the start of our next races. Worlds this weekend, World Tournament this week as well. It's a big week of racing out on Zwift.
Hello and welcome to your In the Pens whiteboard session. I'm Anna Russell, the whiteboard queen, from Nathan, not from me. But here we go. We've got Richmond UCI reverse, 2 laps today in the TTT. Now I know you're probably sitting in there feeling pretty nervous about how to approach these climbs and maybe even your bike choice. I'm going to go through the bike choice today. So got to say, Tron is probably a good option for this one, just because you're hitting those 3 climbs back to back in the first parts of this race. Then you've got a lot of flat, but if you're not a climber, are you a bit nervous about them, you might want to go for that more lightweight setup of the Tron. Now, if you're okay with the climbs, I'm probably going to go personally for the Specialized Venge S-Works with their DT Swiss disc. Just because I kind of like the climbs, they're a bit punchy. You can get up out of the saddle, push through the weight of the disc, and then you're going to be feeling really good on the rest of the flat parts of the course because that disc wheel just hums along so nicely, and you're going to kind of get a good aero advantage there. Now, some may say maybe a climbing setup on this course. I'm not sure about that. You're going to really, really struggle on the flats. I mean, you're definitely not going to go a Specialized Atheos. You're definitely not going to go some Millensteins. You're not sitting in there for a 20-minute climb. These climbs are short, less than 2 minutes. I would definitely be going that disc. Now, I know not all of you have the disc at the moment. If you don't have the Tron either, then I'd be looking at something like the Zip 808s with maybe the Canyon Aero Road 2021 would be my choice. Now, have a great race out there. We're just kind of experimenting with these pre-race in the pens sort of chit-chats about whiteboards. Today, we've obviously talked a little bit about bike choice. Maybe next week we'll go through to some sports psychology, how to get the most out of yourself. Maybe we could have a look at a bit more of a course kind of recon. You've got the great recons out there, but we'll have a look at that. But yep, there we go. This is it. In the pens with the whiteboard session, bike choice, Tron or disc. Good luck out there, guys. Have a great race.
Tron or disc, if you are waiting for your race, as these ladies are, and you're in the pens, and I don't see you with a Tron or disc right now, you obviously aren't watching the broadcast. A lot of swaps maybe making. And that's why we do this. We're throwing these out here because we know that a lot of you do jump in before your race to watch the broadcast, and you want to know exactly what is you should be using when it comes to the race setup. Well, who better to tell us than the fashionista whiteboard expert herself, Dave?
No kidding. I put a lot of weight into what Anna has to say. That's for sure. I see V Win, Sweet Potato,
Big
out
names
here
out here.
racing.
Big names out
Yeah,
here.
this ought to be
happening.
interesting.
Let's take a look at
So
this though,
what-
real quick, Dave. What happened just now? What's that all about?
So Socks for Watts gets it done out here. Swedish Swifters end up a little bit quicker, don't they? As they get Zed's son by what looks like, let's call it 3.5 seconds. Let's call it 4 seconds, actually, there. With Canyon Esports then doing the math, that's going to move Socks for Watts only 6 points back heading into the final. Little bit closer there. BBB on a good day, ending up in 5th. Ravon in 6th, and Team NL, the Dutch ladies A team, ending up in 7th today in our EMEA. And actually, here comes Coalition Synergy in at 7th, moving the Dutch ladies into 8th. Here's more teams are finishing in the Central Division 1A women's race out of the EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Let's take a look here also at the men's race that we did cover just a little bit earlier. This was the EMEA Middle East Division 1. Kirchmer taking that down. Skylab was behind them by 53 seconds. Kirchmer really on a good day. Another situation where we see not the top ranked team like we just saw with Canyon Beta not taking the top spot, a little ways down. Well, Skylab not taking the top spot. Kirchmer showing they are the better TTT team, but Skylab obviously so far being the better points team. So interesting to see there. Pretty big time gaps between these. So Kirchmer, though, dominating. We will be bringing in the central results here momentarily. Speak, Dave, to why these ladies are sitting here. Like somebody, like a lot, go! Like what just happened?
Well,
no,
it
you have
looks
to
like
wait for your time, right? And the WLC be the fastest so far.
Yeah, just as you said go, that was the moment for WLC to roll out. So they come in as the top seeded team. Again, it doesn't apply to every single team time trial race that we do, but here in the community WTRL ZRL, the team with the most points on the table will be our first team to start, and then we'll work our way down. So this is going to be Wahoo LaCole, fittingly, with the season they've had, the top team in their division here, and they are quickly out on course. And I think that they might have listened to Nathan's instructions a little bit earlier about getting up to speed quickly here and trying to really put some time in the bank early. 32K, 2 laps of racing out here on the Richmond UCI reverse course. This is the exact loop that they used for the Richmond Worlds. It's well known, as Nathan was highlighting earlier. This is really outside of Watopia. This was the first expansion world that we had. And there's a look. It's close. Aeonian race team is in the hunt, Nathan. This is far from over out here. And I know Jamie Lee Wright's got her Aeonian team firing on all cylinders out here. So get ready for what's going to be another epic battle in the Zwift Racing League.
Yeah, and only 4 points behind, we are seeing Cryogen Stelvio. Now, we are getting right down to it, though, when it comes to the final race next week. So, really, these are going to be very close. They're going to have to bring this battle closer, is what I mean to say there, with that 4-point spread between Cryogen and Aeonian. Cryogen are going to have an amazing day out here in order to try and get into that second place. There is a playoffs position up for grabs, though, obviously, so we'll see what ends up happening. No Pins R3R Women, 97 points currently. KRT Rockets, well, I have a feeling KRT, knowing them as a brand and knowing them as a team, and the kind of experience that they have, they may be able to sneak some points here today in the team time trial. But they're tied with Crush Pod Norns, which is one of those newer teams in the last year that have really made a splash, and they're a part of the team time trials almost every week. I would not be surprised if Norns had a solid ride as well. As looks like we're going to double check here, and maybe is this going to be on me now? I believe I lost Dave here for just a moment. I think we'll see if we can get Dave back. But as we take a look here at WLC, 114 so far, as they hit the reverse side of the 23rd Street de Jong out of the Netherlands here. Absolutely hammering away right now, as it looks like 5.6 watts per kilogram. And now we are seeing, it looks like Moreno, Fairweather, DeRose, Williams, Van Eyck here from Aeonian. Solid start now, it looks like. 4.5 watts per kilogram, flying as they bring back already 7 seconds now. As Rose, 5.5, very international team. Netherlands, it looks like, taking over toward the front curtail. Maurice is here, as well as Matthew and Kearney. Cryogen Stelvio looking to chase them down. Lost 5 seconds so far. We'll see if that stays. As Cryogen, it looks like all solid in their kits. Also very international, as you can see. 2 UK, the Netherlands represented, then the lone Danish rider. That is going to be Luis Gamps, always a really solid rider to have on the team. Very experienced when it comes to Zwift racing. The selections on the bikes here, interesting here. The 2 Trons, we are seeing a Cervelo actually with half dish, and then the Scott with the full deep dish. I think this interesting selection here from Luis, who's such a really experienced rider. Perhaps trying to have the fast wheel set alongside of a semi-fast climbing setup here when it comes to the frame selection. The frame selection, kind of interesting to hear, but not the only one on the team with this frame selection. We also are seeing is that going to be Munden on the front, also with the Scott, but not the full dish setup. So kind of an all-arounder setup here. Interesting bike selections.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's been so fascinating to really dig in on is how this all works. And yeah, both you and Anna have been a tremendous resource. Cryogen clearly does their homework. This is the Stelvio team that we're in with. They're only 6 points out of the lead here, so they still got a lot to race for as they make their way out onto Governors at this point, climbing into the the crux of this course is definitely Governors to 23rd to Libby out here. So Cryogen just getting going, 32K of racing. I see that I Race Like a Girl is starting without Catherine Curie today. She must be preparing herself for the World Championships coming up on Saturday. Taking a look at all the rosters for our women. This is going to be Elisa de Jong that we've got with Joe Munden, Joni Retzma, and Sienna Hayes all making up this Cryogen team.
Is this actually going to be Lou Bates? I mean,
The
talk
one and
about
only.
yeah. I mean, talk about having a all-star when it comes to climbing on your team.
Actually, a
And
potential world champion, I would say.
right. I mean, this is really really solid rider to be having mix it up at the front end of this R3R team.
Yeah, I would agree. As a matter of fact, you never know why riders are starting or scratching a race today. It's certainly, I wouldn't want to read too much into that, but I think it's a good sign to see Lou Bates out here racing today, just getting that final fitness in or sharpening the blade for what's going to be a big race coming up on the 26th.
Yeah, highlighting the riders as we go through here. Sweet Potato, she's going to be a solid climber for the KRT team today. What a pickup, right, for KRT. We talked about this last week in the Climbers Gambit, and V-Win with a solid ride out there and giving a little boost, I think, to the KRT team. And always a very strong rider, very experienced rider. And she's going to lead these ladies over the top of this back end of the 23rd.
At one time, the virtual Everesting world record holder. Talking
Somebody
about
who's familiar with trainer difficulty. Somebody
Yeah.
who's familiar with taking on the difficulty of the trainer uphill. Didn't she do that at the tower on Watopia Mountain? Right, just repeated the tower climb on Watopia Mountain over
correct.
and over again, I believe, because it's the steepest place to do your Everesting.
It
that you
wasn't
can climb.
glamorous, no. Yeah, this is Christine Schneider, Deborah Slews Parker, Eva Zorman, Anna, and Sarah Portella, along with V-Win here. V is the Sweet Potato.
And they're hitting
Where
that
the-
little Libby Hill. They're doing a good job of holding that momentum. 31 kilometers per hour being taken into that steep red percentage as Anna now goes to the front here.
Well, you talked about the gameplay or the Zwift craft. That is one of the critical sectors right there, Nathan. You were highlighting, just carrying that speed and just trying to swoop through and zip up as quickly as you can before the reality of gravity takes back over, or virtual gravity, even worse.
Yeah, using that momentum against it, always the way to go. I do know that some of you are waiting for the results from the Central Men's Race that we were covering, as they have, and this was the battle. This is crazy, Dave. It was neck and neck. It was Hexagon versus Wahoo Lacole, right?
I'm excited to see.
I mean, and this was so close. I can't believe I haven't seen it. This is crazy. Check this out, Dave. Wahoo Lacole versus Hexagon. It came down to less than a second between the two.
Wow.
What a battle here between these, and they're tied. I mean, okay, so look at this, and look.
Weren't
at
they
this,
tied
right?
coming into
They
it?
were tied
right.
coming in. They were tied coming in. So Wahoo Lacole now get that 1
point advantage.
Yeah, 1 point advantage on them.
Which this is great then, because when you look at the tiebreaker, odds are pretty good that they'll be the top two teams next week. But whichever team, Nathan, gets the better next week should win the league. based on your most recent result, if that's how the count back works, and I believe it
This
does.
is interesting. Yeah.
So even though they're 1 point down, basically they're tied heading into the final race of the season.
Well, that's going to be one to watch next week. Wahoo Lacole versus Hexagon. Loving this, especially with Hexagon being a new team out there and then challenging the reality of this Wahoo Lacole monster team. Watts per kilogram. Wahoo Lacole just showing that they are the better TTT team, though. I think they just showed that they are the because they didn't on pure wattage. They didn't win, but they won on time. Showing that their technique was where it was at.
I was just thinking the same thing, Nathan. That's a really good point. I mean, you can look at it two ways. For Hexagon, it's encouraging because, if we can just get a little smoother and a little more efficient as a team time trial team, we've got the power to win. Now we just need to work on our technique. And Wahoo Lacole has to be thinking our technique is awesome. If we can just get a little more power, we'll be able to win by more than 9/10 of a second, because 9/10 of a second after 32 kilometers with the kind of course that they were on,
with this kind of course,
absolutely
I
awesome.
mean,
that's incredible.
That's so cool to see, actually. Really neck and neck. And this is the situation, just as you had said, Dave, after I refresh the tables. These are preliminary, everybody, not official. Preliminary results, but as it stands from what I have here, 135 and 134. Wahoo Lacole currently at the top. And the rest slotting in there with Gran Fondo, Team NL, VCR. The Dobermans. The hamster's still spinning away at that 75 points as they hang out on the wheel.
Dobermans versus hamsters. That does not sound like a fair fight.
It's probably how the hamsters feel right now. As everybody gets out on course, this is going to be the current split situation. No times in just as of yet, but Wahoo Lacole have 25.7 kilometers to go. Aeonian 26.2. Cryogen there. They were the next ones out. So everybody has started I Race Like a Girl are at 31.8 to go.
Where is... So Sisu I Race Like a Girl is on the 10-minute stagger for starting, meaning that they're coming in as the bottom-ranked team. I'm just going to say, Nathan, they could win today with Meredith Kessler, Carly Johan, Amanda Wendorf, Courtney Hale, and Kate Leigler. It's a pretty strong team to be 10th place.
That's interesting. I wonder if there's missing a couple of races, had some bump.
There's
perhaps because this
agreed.
Is. But
it's not a 10th place team roster.
This is going to be their forte, though. This is maybe the biggest example of points racing versus threshold riders, right? Professional triathletes, a lot of these ladies, they can set a wattage and go all day. But have you ever sprinted against a triathlete? They don't even Anna Russell's changed it up. That's because she hasn't been on a TT bike. She hasn't been sitting in that position. She's been up and going and doing weights and stuff. Like, you have to focus in on that. Whereas they never sprint. Like, it's just not a thing they do. So points racing's been rough, I think, on the team.
Saying they couldn't sprint their way out of a wet paper bag kind of thing, right? It's just not
a wetsuit.
Wetsuit, right? So, but no, that's a point very well made. It's just not what they do, and they're certainly getting much better at it. But this is what they do: time trialing. And again, I would say, Nathan, you're spot on with that analysis. I think that 2/3 of this team would identify as triathletes, even more than that, versus bike racers. And this is Amanda Wendorf that we're looking at. Just needs to stall the beans a little bit, let the team get up on her wheel. This isn't a bad time to do that because they're about to hit the cobblestones and start descending down Libby Hill now. There were some great house parties going on up here.
We need to show that, or maybe the men are about.
It was on the up and up. It was family friendly. It wasn't like it was Mardi Gras or something.
Okay, gotcha. The men are just about to take off, as you can see on the left-hand side. This is both of the West that we are covering. just as a heads up of what's coming up next.
Ah,
I wonder who the top
there they go.
team is, and that is going to be Deepak Elite. Actually, this is
Fabian Towle.
James Bevan, Sam Lindsay. I mean,
This is a former premier team.
Gonna be
One of the best out there.
Interesting though, because I'm not sure that this is a team that has the TTT as their forte. That's the only thing. Jones off the back already. This is not what you want to see. This is a really bad. He's gone. They can't wait for this. On a downhill like this, this is over for him.
Certainly is a
he can't mess around. He cannot I'm not sure what.
There's no way that I don't know how anyone could possibly chase back in either at this point. That's a real bummer because if they wait, that's 5 seconds that they're going to have to give back after.
I mean, what's happening if you're the DS? If you're the DS, you're mad. I'm sorry, but what was going? Maybe he had a dropout. Maybe he just didn't get off the line quick. I mean, it is difficult getting going sometimes. You can have problems.
I think they're actually going to wait.
Kohler's doing 6.9 watts per kilogram. I mean, he's doing almost 7. Lindsay is as well, 6.6 here.
Yeah, they're not waiting.
Full gas. Jones just has to close the gap on 23rd.
If that was down around 5 watts per kilogram, I'd say they're waiting, but it's not, and they're not. This is a bummer for Jones.
Just way too much time. I mean, he just has to get back.
So if you're the
director,
so if you are that director, Nathan, all kidding aside, you just need to adjust, recalibrate, and move forward, right? I mean, you can't spend time looking at what could have happened or what should have happened. It's just what are we dealing with in front of us right now? And it's these 5 guys. And again, I think you're right. It's so early. So early. It makes you wonder, a little bit of a technical hiccup there.
No, yeah, that had to have been what it was here. Now Jones has to essentially do the first 5 minutes it's not like he got
dropped.
I mean,
it's not like he got dropped.
Something happened. No, he didn't know. Obviously, he's got the power. Just something happened, and Lindsay
he's been
has
doing
to push
more work.
Kilogram on the front, right? Because that's what the plan was. And so, do you kill the plan now? No, ride or get back or don't. That's all that's left here at this point. And he's not going to have 7 watts per kilogram to match the rest of his team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if he can get back on with a huge effort and then just sit on for a while, that's really the only path forward for him that I could see. This is just a tough situation.
At this point, because they have to climb at what their plan was, right? And their plan was
I'm with you.
7 watts per kilogram. If they're going to win today, they are the top team. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's go ahead and put these standings across the board. I mean, this is the situation, and they don't want to lose.
They're in good shape, but I agree with everything you're saying. You need to stick to the plan. Jet Racing is in second at 111 points. The real battle there is going to be for second with SG Atletico Bundelsdorf. They are sitting 2 points behind the Jet Racing team with Australian Hump Day Ride. The Cape Crusaders 4th, Veritas 5th, Wahoo Lacole A3 and 6th, TVR 58T in 7th. FX Cancer Team 8th, Team CLS Pure Quality 9th, and ElectricSpirit.co Jabberwock in 10th. That is where things stand after 7 of 8 races in our EMEA West Division 1A. This is some of the best racing in our community.
By far, and these are Premier Division levels for sure when it comes to some of these teams. Some of them have been in Premier Division in the past, actually. Jet now looking to make the chase beady on the front. Love to see the speeds they carry through. They were listening. Look at the speed coming through from Kramer. You don't want to waste too much effort here through this section. Let the speed do its work. Let people roll through, and now is when you kick. Save it up for here. Are they going to do that, though? I'm only seeing 5.5 here coming from Iwakawa. I'd be going orange numbers personally at this point and then letting everybody come on through. We are going to see Beatty now doing something like that. He rolled through well. 22 kilometers per hour on an uphill of 10%, now 11%. Some feathers being blown as Mutamatsu using the truck. 1 second. This is the reality, Dave, of this course. You can't wait up too much. You lose so much time as SGAB look to try and chase these boys down. They've already brought it back within 15 seconds. The German riders, look at this, Dave. I think I got you on mute, Dave. As we'll wait and see if
Sorry there.
There
So
we go.
picking
Yep.
up. So the German team here, as they are, well, take a look now. Again, a little bit of a gap opening up as they just got to keep things slightly more organized. Just trying to save every 10th of a second you can out here if you're going to make these big efforts.
They've got plenty of riders with them here, though. No, not to. That is going to, later on in this course, as things really get difficult, and the reality of, let's speak to a little bit of the flat nature of the back end of the course and having extra riders with you. If you are able to bring them, if you do have all 6 on that flat section, of course, and every rider is able to just pull, because at the end of the TTT last week, when I did the team time trial with OMG, we went from 1 minute to 30-second pulls at the back end of the course. It was like, okay, everybody, just start throwing down everything you've got because it's only 10 minutes left or it's only 5 minutes left. Shorten these up and just pull at, essentially drop your self-efforts. And so having a few extra riders at the back end of the course could be beneficial depending on how much time you give up for it. SGAB have already brought back almost 30 seconds to Jet. This may be the team of the day who are going to end up showing up and showing us that they've actually got the team time trial when it comes to this division.
Well, to their credit here, when you see that the Germans with 6 riders, the thing is they've already been through that triple Lindy of those 3 really tough climbs. They've been over Governors, they've been over 23rd and Libby. So they're showing that they've got the legs here now. So yeah, they should be useful. This is really early to be catching a rider from another team here.
Yeah, and that is going to be Matsu that we did see earlier. I think Jet are waiting for their team member. Is that actually what is going on here?
I hope not.
That's
a big wait for.
I'm not
so
sure.
You can see, though, that the wattage is low enough there for Jet. They're sitting down in the 2s and 3s that they are waiting. They're going to get caught and passed before their teammate joins them, actually. Their teammate's going to come up now with
I wonder, this has to be Germans. Just for camaraderie. I don't know any other reason why you would do that other than, like, we just want to ride together. This is about the team. Today, it's not about the time for Jet because that is not a competitive decision.
Well, go back and look at the points table. If you go back and look at
decision. Yeah, let's look at the points.
If you go back and look at the season-long points, that's not a great call.
No, the team that's right on their heels just passed them.
Right. So, and you got to think that if they just got caught 5.7K in, unfortunately, it's not like they're sitting in 3rd. They're going to be a little further down the table than that. So they right now are watching their 2nd place in the series going away, and they could drop down. Well, they won't fall further than 3rd out here, as there's a big gap from 3rd down to 4th, but they're losing their 2nd place right in front of our eyes. That's sad.
Interesting. I'm wondering what was going on there because I know they've got way more power than what was happening. They were just waiting, and it's that goes to show, they probably made the call thinking he would come back quicker than he did, and then, like, it's a split-second nature. You would think that in team time trialing, it isn't split-second calls that make it or break it, but it really can be. Like, no, we're moving on. We're moving. Nope, shoot, it's over. Just continue. Like, there has to be that director.
Well, that's why you have a director.
Execution. Exactly. We're not talking about this right now. Hammer down, and whatever the call is, the call is.
if your team is arguing about whether you wait or not, your team is not going to be winning the race. It's such a
Because you're
bad
not
indicator.
moving forward, right? Like
100%.
there's no
And
discussion. It's just you wait, you don't wait, go. Like that's it.
there's a lot of factors there. If your team is arguing about waiting for a racer, clearly you're not having a great day to begin with. If you are already in that situation, so not a good sign. So this is now out on lap
What?
number 2.
I call. I'm just gonna do a little bragging here, but look at who's at the top.
KRT in full effect.
What? Like this is awesome to see. 91 points, 5th place, but nope. On the day, the sweet potato shows up and puts the 1203 down for the rest of the team sitting on her wheel, most likely. What a pickup with V-Win. They are having a solid day. And we said KRT is so experienced. This is their spot to shine.
Well, and they just added a little nuclear engine to their arsenal with V-Win. My heart goes out to riders who come from non-established cycling countries. Can you imagine how fun it would be to get V-Win into the World Championship, right? Racing for Vietnam. It would be really interesting to see what she could do if she put her mind to it out there on a course like Knickerbocker. That's for sure. There is a benefit still to coming from a country that, the good and the bad of it, I guess. There's 2 ways to look at it. I was talking with Philippe Nystrom from Costa Rica, and he's kind of having the same situation where Costa Rica isn't super advanced with their national federation. And, it is nice that Zwift has the continental qualifiers, giving riders who come from a situation like that a chance to win their way into Worlds. Actually, that was extremely cool that those events happened. It gives those outlier type riders more of an opportunity to make it into the big show.
Being told by Ben Jones and with the DPAC Elite that he actually had a dropout. He's hanging out in chat actually. So sorry to hear that, Ben.
Sorry, Ben.
And
yeah,
and I was like, there's no way. What is going on here? And of course, right from the get-go, the dropout, not what you want to see, getting back on terms. And if they would have waited right from the get-go, though, too, even with that dropout, it was already 5 seconds and just a really, really tough situation. And a lot of times, even with that dropout, you could get back if it was a flat for a little while, but the speeds right from the get-go on this course up into that 70 plus with the team rotating through and avalanching, it's just almost impossible. So, now, I want to speak here to KRT and No Pins actually leading this race out right now because they are neck and neck, which is really interesting to me because these 2 teams here, KRT and No Pins R3, are actually 4th and 5th place. Again, speaking to this whole idea of this this course and what is going to shine out here comes from experience a lot of times and a different kind of fitness level.
And the way the season was set up, it really, Nathan, the first half of the season favored sprinters and points racing teams that had expertise in that area, whereas more of the watts per kilogram, the climbers and the experienced esports Zwifters. Actually, that's not. I should take that last part back. It's not about experience in esports, but more the type of racer that you are having an advantage in the second half of the season.
Yeah,
so things have changed
in the playoffs as well. I mean, we do have Legends in Lava. We're seeing this team time trial, the Climbers Gambit. We saw out on McCurry the battle that took place there as well. So, the reality of this back end of this season though is definitely starting to put some sting in the legs here for some of the riders that maybe are a little bit more excited about the sprinting courses and the points races here. We'll see what it plays out as Wahoo Lacole, 2 points currently. They are being caught though by Aeonian. And Aeonian here, if they have a solid day, I mean, Wahoo Lacole 2406. Cryogen are stuck right between them here. Aeonian need to hold off Cryogen. If they do, we might end up with a tie coming into the final race of the
Look how close this
season. Here, look at
If you
this
go
right
back,
here. So
Nathan, it's
114, 112, and then cryogen there at 108, right? Now go back over to the splits, and let's compare that with this.
yeah. I mean, okay. So you can see now that these teams are basically deadlocked. There's only 6 seconds separating R3R from Aeonian and Cryogen here. And if we go back, this could reset the entire table after today. So this is going to be a really interesting day of racing here in our team time trial. They're out on lap number 2. This is Wahoo LaCole that we're in with. Again, they come in. Now, where are they, Nathan, in the season standings?
Wahoo LaCole are the number 1 right now.
Right.
So that's the season standings right there.
So Aeonian could take over the lead out here today if things go their way. There's a lot of things that could happen, actually, if you look at possibilities.
There's teams that perhaps didn't show up for some races or just had really struggled with the points racing, but are showing up with these crazy, amazing times. I mean, C-Square Race Like a Girl, they're at 12:35. They're in the conversation. I mean, this is the top 6 are anybody's game still, in my opinion. Until we hit this next 16K time check on C-Star Race Like a Girl, I'm not sure what to call here at this point. Aeonian, No Pins, KRT, Wahoo LaCole are in 5th place. So right now, we've got Aeonian race team taking over 1st place overall. Now C-Star Race Like a Girl, no, Crush Pod coming 24:30 here, so that's not going to impact the conversation when it comes to what happens with Wahoo LaCole. Crowd
This is wide open.
having a great race there as well. Not going to change things up too much for them because Aeonian will jump up quite a bit. No Pins R3R. What's the situation with them? 97 points. Not part of the conversation for the series overall, but definitely part of the conversation about where the points will play out here for Aeonian.
And Aeonian is pulling for no pins more than anyone else, right? I mean, outside of their own result. But if Aeonian can get no pins to finish ahead of Wahoo LaCole, that's going to be massive for them. So sometimes you need a little bit of help out here. And Wahoo LaCole's not done. They got a lot of course ahead of them to help right this ship out here today. As we take a look, this is going to turn into one of the greatest season finales that we've witnessed out here.
Now, keeping it together here for Aeonian is going to be the question. Are they feeling fine with 4? Because I feel like they're about to make the catch here. So that's really going to be putting some wind in their sails to feel good about that one. WLC might say, no, you're not going to catch us. Let's just keep it on here. But now Evan Van Geit here now to the front out of the Netherlands here. It's going to be 182 beats per minute with that feather power up over that little bit of a kick. Probably pick that up over the top of the reverse. Okay, well, I'm up. Libby Hill, Curtail, the rider right on the wheel there. That push got some vans to be used in order to get that draft going for Maurice and Matthew, as it looks like Van Geit is just demolishing herself to make the catch. And WLC have dropped a rider. Fairweather is off the back, and they have to wait.
Wow.
This is all hands on deck. Emergency moment here for WLC as Aeonian just roll right through them, and we're watching them maybe drop below 3rd if Cryogen stay on the gas.
Everyone to battle stations is the cry that we're hearing right now. This is a huge moment for Aeonian as they have blown Wahoo LaCole up right now. As you said, Fairweather is going to have to rejoin her team as they can't continue on with 3. This is a big moment for Aeonian out here right now. So no pins R3R with the fastest time at a 23:32, only 3 seconds behind. But actually, they got to be picking up the speed out here right now is Aeonian. This team, a franchise in esports, and they're having a fine moment. KRT, they've really leveled up, no doubt about it, sitting 5th in the season, but it looks like the second half is going to be awfully good to them at 23:37. They are only 2 seconds behind Aeonian there. It's incredibly close. We've got 4 teams now sitting within a 6-second bubble with Cryogen Stelvio at 23:38. They're only 6 seconds behind No Pins. So No Pins, Aeonian, KRT, and Cryo all in the mix here. And unfortunately for Wahoo Lacole, they're watching their season just absolutely imploding right in front of their eyes, Nathan. What a race this is.
This is probably one of the best of the day. I'd say that I'd call this so far for the day as close as it gets, and some of the biggest upsets that we have seen so far. 3-second difference. No Pins R3R. They weren't really a part of the conversation in my mind up front because of where they stood in the series standings at 97 points in fourth place, but they have shown up now and taken over the first place spot ahead of KRT, who came out screaming at a 12:03. That may have been going out too hot, though, as the afterburners fade, and it looks like 23:37 now. 5 seconds, anyone's race, 6 second spread. Cryogen Stelvio, KRT, Aeonian, and No Pins. That's the situation here right now. Lou Bates here. What's happening with this team? Because I have a feeling they are going to be they're going to start flying in the back end. I just get the feeling that they have saved a negative split all the way through.
No Pins R3R is about to go nuclear. This is a command performance, Nathan. They're the only team that still has 6 riders. That's an incredibly good sign because at this point, it makes a huge difference. All have made over the climbs. They're now pinning it. The accelerator is down on the floorboard. Might as well just duct tape it there. I don't see how No Pins doesn't win out here today.
Is that legal?
Duct taping things.
Duct taping. I mean, duct tape solves it all. Where's the duct tape? We need a duct tape meme now.
200-mile-per-hour tape.
Whenever things aren't going well in your Zwift racing, just bring out the duct tape, pin it to the floor. Let's go. R3R making it happen out here today. And I'm loving what we're seeing here. Lou Bates has always been one of my favorite and kind of the
me too.
A rider here that I think has been the centerpiece of this team in a lot of ways, and the rest of them coming around and really smashing. And I think stepping up almost the rest of this team and
for sure.
Really coming into fitness, all of them, because usually I'd say that Lou is leading this team in a lot of ways, but I get a feeling that they've really rounded things out a little bit here at the back end of this season, and perhaps now are just a powerhouse team all around, actually, from the numbers that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Carolyn Falsgraf, Debs Stokely, Dupont Daphner, Helen May, Mary Dutzen, and Stacy Loke, as well as Lou Bates. This is a command performance out here. This is going to be Erjavec that we're in with. And Johnson.
Yeah, and out of the UK. Now, also cool that they are all kind of they're all from almost all different countries here.
Yeah, Haley Johnson, Julia Decker, and Lou Bates, 3 of the No Pin riders.
Looks like Decker trying to hang on. Looks like they're going to wait up a little bit to allow this to come back together. As I have a feeling they've got more than 3.6 on the front. They do allow it to come back together. Now, here is the chase here coming from V-Win, heading straight to the front there, it looked like. Now, it's going to be Anna now taking over. I did see that feather power up just a moment ago. Here is KRT. They are only 5 seconds in arrears at the last checkpoint, waiting for that 24K mark that will be coming in soon. No Pins R3R time should be coming in just a few moments here, as V-Win heads the front with 5.8 watts per kilogram. R3R, we're not pulling those kind of numbers. She is really wanting to make that chase.
And you see what V has done here. She's using a disc wheel on a bike that's all about aerodynamics. She's one of the best climbers on planet Earth. She doesn't need help climbing. She wants to be faster on the flats. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep, comes right on through now at 5.3. Not waiting up that we saw from R3R just a moment ago. They are going faster through this section significantly than we saw from R3R. Back into the course, will we get a second win from the KISS Racing team? The Rockets now trying to pull through for their next time. Look at the time differentiation. Wahoo Lacole come in 36.45 and 35.23 from Aeonian. How many teams
Not
can you
even the
put
same
between
neighborhood.
them? Because remember, this is the situation, and we are watching Ionian take over the lead right now. But the question is, what will the rest of the teams do, and how much will that lead be?
Well, it's interesting. They're not only going to tie things up, Nathan. If you don't mind, could we look at the season points table again? Because Aeonian is probably going to find a 3 or 4 point differential, moving them. Yeah, this is huge. Now, No Pins R3R is doing Aeonian a huge favor, and CrowdGen as well. So it's starting to look like we might have a new leader at the end of today.
It looks like Aeonian probably going to pull this one off. Obviously, with that time gap, or at least for the win against Wahoo Lacole. The question now remains, though,
they need 2 other teams to beat Wahoo Lacole, right? So
now Crouch and Stelvio are part of the conversation. They're only 9 seconds off, and 9 seconds on this course and the back end of this course can be shut down. I mean, this is such a difficult course. The riders, there's so much fatigue in the legs. I mean. This is really anybody's race for the top 4 still.
I agree, but No Pins R3R's got 2 things going for them. They've got 6 riders still, and they've got Lou Bates. So they've got wiggle room out here. This is a really hard team to beat today, Nathan. It's close, though. That's what's so awesome out here. And Aeonian is probably cheering for R3R, No Pins, as much as anyone right now. Yeah, boy.
Oh, yeah, they want everyone to have the best race they possibly can, except for
so I guess for Aeonian
by too much, right? That's the only thing they
right,
want.
It's a fine line.
Need to beat R3R though. I mean, they still need
right. Exactly. You still need to beat. So you want to beat R3R, but have R3R beat.
3 seconds, Dave. R3R are ahead of Aeonian now. And
so this is going to go down.
Holding on to 3 seconds. This has been locked. They're locked, Dave, at that same 3 seconds for the last 8K. This is such an amazing race between these 2 monster teams.
We're going to find out who wants it more amongst Aeonian and R3R No Pins out here today. Oh, Aeonian, if they want to beat Wahoo, really needs to beat No Pins out here as well. I kind of have to take back what I was saying. They're not cheering for No Pins. They've got to beat them today. If they, I mean, again, it's not over, but this is where it really, really matters. This is the crux of the situation. Back in with
4 riders. 4 riders versus 6. I mean, this is tough for Aeonian at this point. Do they have anything left in the tank?
Tough row to hoe. Oh. Yep. No, it definitely advantage goes to R3R. Aeonian's going to really be looking for something special.
KRT come through with a tie. They come through with a tie at the 24K, 35-20 now for KRT. And they've still got 6 riders, don't they, KRT? This is such a battle in the EMEA West Div 1 for the women. 35-20, 35-20, No Pins R3R, KRT. And this is some of the most old school racing teams that you can get. This 3R team has been long standing. They were actually Team DZI, Team Z, way back in the day. They actually had one of the first ever climbing races that we ever had on Watopia Mountain. You can go back all the way to 2015, 2016 with that team. They've had a couple of different brands come on through. When it comes to this, always in support of some sort of a charity. It was World Bicycle Relief, and now we're in with R3R here. And with their branding, and KRT, KISS Racing Team, the original OGs when it comes to all things Zwift esports, and they are battling right now in front of us in this Women's West Div 1, tied up at the top of the table, and this is going to tell a conversation about where Aeonian, though, ends up one of the new school teams. Loving to see the race dynamics between all of these racing brands and teams.
Yeah, how this sorts out, where all the points are distributed is anybody's guess, as KRT is really throwing a spanner in the works here. The Rockets having an incredible ride. Again, that's going to be V-Win, taking a huge pull at this point. They've got 5, it looks like. No Pins R3R still with 6 riders last we checked. So it's really they put themselves into that position of the team to beat out here. KRT really coming after them now. And this is, again, it's nice to see KRT back at this level. They're throwing haymakers out here today as Aeonian is still trying to hold on and looking for a miracle out here. As if they can get the win, they could move into the series lead. What a battle royale we've got going on.
No pins now. They can see the time differentiation live between them. That's what's going on in their heads here at this point. As you see Haley Johnson on the back of the pack right now, she's able to see Sweet Potato chasing her down there at 5.3 watts per kilogram. Bates on the front trying to match it, 5.3. Now, getting a little bit of a gap here. The rest of the riders need to hold on to the wheel here at this point. This little holdup is not going to be in their favor, and KRT are just doing it better here at this point because they just sit on the wheel of the Sweet Potato now and get that 46 kilometers per hour. That's going to be the differentiation of whether or not you hold that wheel well. Are they even going to pull through, or is V-Win just going to hammer away? We do see a truck being used now as the rest of the riders sitting at about 3.8, and V-Win continues on at 42 kilometers per hour over the cobbles on that Venge S-Works with the deep dish. Exactly what Anna said that she would use out on this course with our whiteboard promotions. And
100% the right call.
It is.
I mean, when you look,
it's in the back end of this course, it's going to matter too, Dave, isn't it?
Well, and so V, knowing she doesn't need any help on the climbs, wanted to be faster. With this pull, this is a monster pull that she has taken. It's going to be the Russian athlete, Anna, coming through now, maybe offering some assistance here at the front for KRT. As I'm amazed to see how long V-Win has been on the front. This is going to be Eva coming through. So KRT trying to give V some front help on the front here. The Canadian rider Deborah, that feather being used by V, as that's going to be one of the riders coming out of the Wahoo LaCole team that they're just going to motor right by. This is going to be, I have a feeling it's going to come down to less than a second. What a day. Such a challenging course to see so many close races. I mean, we've already seen a result that was within 1 second, and it looks like we might be doing that again. They're down to 3K to go.
This is V-Win versus R3R. I mean, that's essentially what is happening. They have 6 riders. Every rider at this point, if they want to beat KRT, need to pull through full gas. I mean, do not like at this point, just, I would start acting not like it's a sprint finish line, but almost semi sprint finish line. If you drop, you drop. That's how I would start taking pulls here at this point. If I were this no pins R3R, you got to pull your final few pulls yet, in my opinion. You know, where
I like to leave that a little later. I like to leave that inside the last K personally. Just
with 6 riders, you won't get every rider through at that amount though. I mean, at this point, they're gonna have.
I don't start sprinting
here.
I don't know that you can do a controlled 2-kilometer sprint to the finish line would be I'd say try to keep our wits about us a little bit.
Well, you can drop 2 riders. So my point is that you can drop 2 riders. And so riders just start pulling through full on.
So what those riders do then, they should go to the front and take a monster pull and pull off.
Exactly.
That's how you.
Exactly.
Right.
So when I say
it's not about sprinting them off your wheel. It's about using them to their utmost ability. So.
Yeah, I would definitely go into 5-6 watts per kilogram for these ladies, as Bates is doing here. Make sure that you anticipate it, communicate what you're going to be doing as you roll through. That's one thing that I in the Discord channels actually this past week that I was a part of in the TTT was letting riders know I'm rolling through at this kind of a pace. Hold the wheel. Hold the wheel. This is the pace I'm rolling through at. A lot of times, the riders who are sitting in the wheels don't really, they just kind of assume that the draft is going to be right about where they're at and don't anticipate the speed of the rider coming through. And you kind of have to anticipate that to hold the wheel if somebody's going to try and accelerate the crew up to 50 kilometers per hour that we saw Bates do there just now. I have a feeling the KRT have done this. It's 2 seconds here at this point. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, it could be a little deceiving right now, but from what we saw, it looked like KRT might have been finding a little bit of an advantage, although, again, it is really, really hard to tell now. It's going to go full on nuclear here. That's going to be 1K to go for Wahoo Lacole. This is Cryo, who is sitting about 12 seconds back at the last check. They're having a great ride sitting in fourth out here.
6.5
not
watts per
quite
kilogram
enough
from
today.
Hayes. Last little kick to the line there. You can see the finish line ahead of them as they make their way through. 35:20, 35:20. Those were the fast times for that last check. We'll start getting the results in here in just a moment. Here comes Johnson alongside of Lou Bates. This is the final little under a K to go. I think about 600 meters. As Bates takes over toward the front, Decker now with that truck power up. We've got 5 riders left. It looks like Sharp did drop off after some sort of a monster effort out the front here. It's going to be
Exactly what you were talking about. Yeah.
Sweet Potato. This is going to be, is she going to just pull him to the line?
But she's done a lot of work out here today.
What a pickup for KRT. Great racing here. Aeonian 3 seconds back at the last time check. I have a feeling that opened up a little bit more as the results are going to start coming in just a moment here. This was the race. Wahoo Lacole 5th on the day so far. We'll see if Crush Pod Norms could even get the better of them as they're still out on course here. Our 3 hours.
It looks like we're going to be pretty close to a tie at the top of the table after today. All the dust is settled out here. Certainly Wahoo's given.
I always like this. This one always gets me with the Middle East West division for the women.
So they're at about 2.5K to go for Crush Pod. They had a 37 even at that 24K check, 32 seconds ahead of the Femme Fortes, powered by Stages. And 15 seconds behind Wahoo Lacole, who have finished now. Updating here. More teams. KRT should be the next team across the line. They probably just about finished now.
Yeah, KRT probably just getting across the line here as they do come in. The Crush Pod Norns here, they'll be holding down a solid 7th. We'll see if they're able to hold on to that throughout the rest of the race. Let's go ahead and jump across and see how the men are going here. Deepak Elite, we're having a conversation about them versus the SGAB as well as the Jet Racing team. The Jet Racing team, we saw them, it looked like almost give up their race and even their season standings just a little bit ago. And nothing's really changed too much when it comes to the positioning. 34 seconds lost here at this point, but they were caught. So they were caught and then lost an additional 34 seconds to SGAB. SGAB, I think, are on a crazy race out here today. They are 109 currently in the series standings for this men's West Division 1 for SG Atletico Budelsdorf. But my question is, what are the standings here when it comes to the times? Well, 31:38. Deepak Elite with 31:56. Not going to be threatened, I don't think, Deepak Elite, even after losing Ben Jones when it comes to the series standings. But they're definitely, I think, going to have an interesting race against SG, who are showing us that they are team time trial monsters.
Yeah, all right. They really are. What a ride they've had out here in Richmond, getting down to the brass tacks on the Richmond reverse course, 32 total K of racing. And getting a look, yeah, fantastic performance by the Germans out here. Deepak Elite with the second quickest time at 31:56 and 32:20. Third place time there as they are just in front of Jet Racing is AHDR.
You were talking a little bit in the women's race about Seaside Race Like a Girl. They did come through with a 20 at the 24K mark, just behind Wahoo Lacole, who were the top riders, 36:48. We'll see what they can end up. They might end up taking a top 4 here, even though being the 10th ranked team out there with Seaside Race Like a Girl. So as you did say earlier, Dave, they are definitely those more threshold, steady, power effort type riders, and they're showing that out here today. Hit Crusade 32:20 though, currently in third. Jet Racing, interesting when it comes to what went down here. because we're looking at this here, and Jet Racing with a 111, and then SG. I mean, they're sitting in a solid second, and they're going to lose quite a few points here. They put a little bit of steam into HDR, I think, when it comes to what's going to happen for the season.
Yeah, no kidding. So we've got one race left out here. And our final team time trial of the season coming down to it. These guys, the Germans here, the little over 3K until this one is done and dusted.
Let's go ahead and highlight a few of the other teams as we wait for the finish, as it's going to be. This is going to be the AHDR Cake Crusaders out here. They're currently at that 98 points for the season. And 32-20, third place overall as they roll on through their final banner to collect any kind of a power-up. McKellen to the front, coming out of Australia, is the Aussie Hump Day Ride team. As you can see, Jet Racing Team 3244. TBR at the 58T, is that right? These guys are, 58T. 3252. It's going to be Team CLS Pure Quality with the 3305. Veritas 3310 in for 7th right now. Wahoo Cole A3 3355. EF Cancer Team, good to see them out here. Currently sitting in 9th place with a 3410. As far as the close racing goes here, Dave, this one's pretty staggered out, though. It looks like everybody's kind of in their own power zone, technique zone out here today. SG kind of walking away with it, but there's not a lot of close down, it looks like, that can happen. These time gaps are pretty big between every one of the teams, actually.
Yeah, really even splits all the way down. There's no one area that you look at and saying, oh, that's going to be really close. It looks like things have been pretty much sorted out here.
Definitely.
We take a look at the Australian Hump Day Ride team with 5 riders still together here. Back in with Veritas, the Portuguese team, reloading their power-ups.
One thing I want to check on is they waited for Montezuma, and he's no longer with them, actually. So, interesting call there earlier by Jet. Beatty here now, the USA, to the front, 4.8 watts per kilogram. One of the riders was just asking for a skip. They're suffering out there today, it sounds like. 436 watts currently coming from Beatty. Solid little pull through. Liking the little bit more of a Sasquatch setup here going on. Looks like as and with this is like a Surfer West Coast, Dave, right?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening here with the headband?
I was thinking more caveman look,
Caveman?
but
Okay, caveman.
you could see that guy on Venice Beach in LA, though,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Playing hacky sack or something with his friends.
I don't know why.
Not hard to imagine.
I pictured some sort of a surfboard there. I don't know why, but
That's easily imaginable for sure.
out of Japan.
All right.
Iwa Adora now making his way through. SGAB, really solid ride from the German team here. A Deepak Elite just coming on through for their finishes. Diavola. It's going to be Sam Lindsay, James Bevan. There's the finish line. They dropped colored off. That's fine, though. They only needed the 4 across the line. They still had a solid ride, and they will solidify themselves at the top for the season. I believe after today, we've got one more race to go still. But Gerke and the rest of this team, this is getting them into the playoffs here, I think, right now. They're going to have to battle it out with Jet, but I think Jet's going to lose quite a few points. It maybe
This is a big step forward for them.
it might be a tie
sure.
at the end of the day. It might be a tie. We'll have to wait and see. But I mean, this is huge, the kind of day that they're having, and this is going to really help out for their shot at a playoff spot.
Yeah, as I was saying, big step forward as we're just about to the end of the season 2 of 2021-2022. And here we go. This is the Jet team we're looking at now. They've got about half a K remaining out here in Richmond. This one is done and dusted. Race 7 of 8. Good crowd for a team time trial here in Richmond today.
Really surprised almost with the kind of racing that we had. A lot of times team time trials, coming with some splits. There's the splits, and racing tends not to be the closest always, but it was almost like we had head-to-head sprints going on the way that these teams were so close out here today, especially within that women's race that we just watched. We'll get results in for them in just a moment as we see HDR making their final kick to the line. As we wait for these riders to come through and those final results do come in for the women, we'll show those to you. And we'll take a look forward to tonight's race with the America's East and America's West. I do know that a lot of you jump in to watch the broadcast and how things played out, what the bike choices were, and how close the racing was, and how people took on the course. One thing I would definitely suggest if you're looking for rider recon information, look at what happened with Ben Jones. It was a dropout, but if it isn't a dropout and you're not right on the wheel immediately and you don't avalanche that first descent, you can find yourself losing time because the speeds are not up into that high 70s. You want to get up to the minimum of 70 to high 70s is what you're looking for, kilometers per hour on that downhill section right out of the gate. And start that super tuck roll through as much as you possibly can. Jump as much as you can from the back of the pack to the front. Get into those super tucks quickly and avalanche that team downhill. Each and every one of those downhills, actually, it's so incredibly important because they're very steep out here, Dave. They're not gradual at all. It's important uphill to get them up quickly because how steep they are, but the other sides matter just as much.
Yeah, you really need to be on that train when it's leaving the station, as they say. You can't afford to chase back onto it. We're going to finish up the Veritas team here as we wrap things up for our Europe, Middle East, and Africa segment of racing. Unbelievably close out here today. And some surprises along the way as we've seen our season-long table, the points table, tightening up in quite a few different situations out here.
Shout out to TBR 58T, keeping everybody together. 6 riders to the line. One last dig here. 185 beats per minute here coming from Slim. 535 watts. Not Slim on the watts, that's for sure. The Fretta is there coming out of France now, making his way to the front. Actually, the Netherlands here with Deleuze. From that 193 beats per minute, that's always the end of these TTTs are absolute sufferfests here. WLC with another team out here. This is going to be the A3. They've got Southern Trolley as well as M Junior and Tarek out here for their final kick to the line as well. Team CLS, always good to see them out on course with their in-game kit. Those colors, right, Dave, those are specific national colors, I feel like.
Well, Ireland. Orange
yeah, that's
and
what
green.
I was thinking. Yeah, but I'm not sure anybody here is from Ireland on the team. But I definitely get a little Irish feel there.
India is orange and green too, I think. But yeah,
that's a good call.
Well, all right. Looks like just about everybody's done and dusted out here. Bringing home CLS now as they'll have the arch. Big day of racing in Richmond. There it is.
That's how it played out. Aeonian don't get a whole lot out of it. I think it's a tie game, though, because of this. They could have taken over the lead if they would have got the better of No Pins or KRT, but they were just a level above. And No Pins tried holding off the train that was let out by a Sweet Potato, but it looks like V-Win and the KRT-A Rockets were able to take it down there at 46.59. No Pins R3R, 2 seconds back. Aeonian Race Team, they tie up the season, I believe. We'll take a double check on that in just a moment, but they had a solid race and probably happy with that result. As Carl Stelvio come through for 4th. Wahoo Lacole struggle on the day, 145 back, it looks like. That's a big time gap to those top 4. Crush Pod Norns there in 6th. It's going to be Cecil I Race Like a Girl in 7th as the Norns end up taking down I Race Like a Girl and had a better negative split, actually, because Cecil I Race Like a Girl were in 6th prior to getting these results. Femmes Forte powered by Stages there in 8th, 220.52 back, and Rafa R RCC women. That's going to be your A women for EMEA West Div 1 results, Dave, and that's a big day for KRT.
Sure is. Yeah, amazing to tell you the truth, to see how things are so competitive in that West Division 1A group. So it is tied, 130 points apiece there for Wahoo Lacole WA1 and Aeonian after today's results have been factored in, with Cryogen Stelvio sitting at third, 125 points. No Pins R3R in at fourth with 116, and KRT moving up to fifth with their win today at 111 points. Crush Pod sixth, Rafa seventh, Femforte eighth, Sisu in ninth, and Electric Spirit.co in 10th.
A big day there for Aeonian. They came in 2 points behind, and 2 points can be pretty difficult to make up. And the Race of Truth, though, here with the team time trial, though, I think really opens up opportunities because you don't get as many kind of wrenches thrown in your plan. It's really on you. And when it comes to points racing and those and all the mayhem that goes in with trying to find your place in the pack and just be the strongest rider and first across the line, fastest through segment, there's a lot going on there where you have a lot more control in the Race of Truth to just be like, okay, we race our race and we can make the best time we possibly can. And Aeonian showed up and showed that they knew how exactly to do that in order to get that first place overall in the league right now. KRT Rockets, though, big shout out to them. They were way down the leaderboard, really jumped up a little bit today in their points here. And then No Pins R3R as well with that second place time. The men's times are just starting to come through here, and it was going to be, we may get a couple more updates here in just a moment, but I have a feeling this is going to kind of stay right about where it's at. SSG Atletico come on through for that first place, 42-23. Deepak Elite there, 21:02 back for second. HDR K Crusaders, that is a really good ride by them. They were way down the standings, actually, comparatively, I believe, if I'm not incorrect. Well, not way down, but in fourth place. So they end up taking down Jet, who usually I think would get the better of them. But because of that hold up early on, Jet really rallied, Dave, though, to take on, hold on to fourth after waiting for so long. TBR 58T there at 124 back at fifth. It's going to be Veritas for sixth. MTC Grifters in seventh. Team CLS Pure Quality in eighth. Wahoo Lacole A3 in ninth. Electric Spirit.co Jabberwock followed up by the F Cancer team. That's the situation. As the standings update, let's see if we can get an idea of where things are at in Deepak Elite. They're just holding it down at the top. Jet Racing Team, they did give up that second place, and it's a 1 point differentiation. It's still one race to go, though, so they haven't lost it for the season.
Yeah, that real battles for second place, it looks like, as we head into the final race of the season, is Deepak Elite. Again, a former Premier League team, shows you they've got the goods. It's SG Atletico 129, 128 for Jet. AHDR sitting in fourth right now with 116. They're pretty comfortable there. I wouldn't see them moving up or moving down, with Veritas in fifth, TVR sixth, Wahoo Lacole seventh, Team CLS Pure Quality in eighth, FX Cancer Team ninth, and Electric Spirit.co Jabberwock rounding out our top 10 for the EMEA West Division 1. That's the A's.
And a long,
great day in Richmond.
Day in Richmond. 3 hours of awesome racing here. We still got America's East and West coming at you. It'll start in 4 hours from now. There's a lot more racing going on. Obviously, probably the biggest day in virtual esports coming up this weekend. Don't make sure to mark that on your calendars and show up for that. We also got the tournament on Thursday. We'll see you with some outro videos, and we'll catch you in a few hours for the America's Racing. As always, head over to WTRL.racing for all of the results. Thanks for all the riders who have jumped in today and raced, as well as hit those follow buttons, subscribe to all that cool stuff. Helps out the channel a ton. We'll see you in just a little bit. As always, ride on.